Chapter 2358 Escape. Double Pedicle Lotus. Lu Shanyan suddenly said, "No wonder you all asked me where I got that thing, so I wanted to find another Bing Pedicle Lotus." In this way, Yao Changjun also knows about this Bing Pedicle Blossom Lotus. Extremely deep. He can directly identify this thing through the breath, obviously he has done some research. Yang Kai raised his brows and continued, and from what he said just now, it seems that there have been Butianlian before in Jixu Ridge, so he did it. We'll wait here for 200 years. But senior brother, when I got it, there was only one such plant. Lu Shanyan looked puzzled. Although she got the pure white butterculus by accident, after getting it, she searched the surrounding area carefully and found no other valuable elixir. She has no reason to miss it. Maybe it was taken away by others first, or maybe you were negligent. Let's ignore this and try to get rid of that old monster. After Yang Kai finished speaking, he stopped talking and carefully checked the surrounding terrain. Jixu Ridge is a very dangerous place near Gaocheng, and it is also a place that many warriors like to practice, because the environment of this place is special, and it breeds many valuable monsters and spiritual herbs. Warriors living in Gaocheng often come here together looking for training materials. Lu Shanyan has been here many times, so he knows the surrounding terrain like the palm of his hand. Under her guidance, the two rushed into Silent Void Ridge in less than an hour. As soon as you stepped into this place, Yang Kai felt a terrifying aura lingering around, as if there was something in the depths of Lonely Void Ridge that could threaten his existence. And according to Lu Shanyan, she has always practiced on the outside of Jixu Ridge, never daring to go deep into the interior, because the deeper she goes, the more dangerous she is. I couldn't come out either. Lu Shanyan would not have gone deep if he hadn't been chased by a monster last time and had nowhere to go. It is definitely luck to be able to return safely in the end. However, correspondingly, the deeper you go, the greater the rewards you can get, and the high rewards often make some warriors take risks. Countless warriors go missing and perish in Silent Void Ridge every year. But there are no absolutes. From time to time, some good things will appear on the outskirts of Jixu Ridge. There was once a warrior who found an emperor-level spiritual herb garden within 1,000 miles of Jixu Ridge. Yang Kai was puzzled, since there are so many warriors in the periphery who have experienced and searched, how can there be good things left behind? Lu Shanyan said, "I'm not too sure. Anyway, I feel different every time I come here. It seems that every once in a while the landform here changes a lot. The things I saw on the road I walked before tend to disappear. Instead, there are other scenes." Is there such a thing? Yang Kai was very surprised. As soon as he finished asking this question, Yang Kai's expression changed, and he couldn't help but urge the source force to teleport again and escape for hundreds of miles, finally widening the distance between him and Yao Changjun. The owner of the Yuding Tea House is worthy of being a powerhouse at the third level of Emperor Zun, even though his spiritual consciousness has been severely injured. The remaining strength is by no means something that Yang Kai can compete with. He is proficient in space power, and even with a Lu Shanyan, he can't get rid of the right hunt. The teleportation consumes a lot of energy for Yang Kai, and the world of the Star Realm suppresses it very strongly. He has to pay a lot of source power and soul power to do it every teleportation, and he has to protect Lu Shanyan during the teleportation process. Being suppressed by space rules is naturally extremely difficult. But last time in Chenyizong, he refined a lot of miraculous medicines, which happened to come in handy at this time, so there is no need to worry about exhaustion in a short period of time, but in the long run, it is absolutely not possible. There are dangers everywhere in Silent Void Ridge. Not only are there various ferocious monsters, but there are also many natural formations that restrict Yang Kai's divine sense from being released while maintaining the world-exterminating demon eye. It is also possible to avoid these dangers in advance. On the contrary, Yao Changjun, who came after him, seemed to fall into some forbidden traps or besieged by monsters because he did not dare to use his consciousness recklessly. However, with his powerful strength, even if he was besieged by monsters or fell into forbidden array, it only takes a very short time to get out of trouble. Yao Changjun's understanding of Silent Shu Ridge is much deeper than Yang Kai's. He has stayed here for 200 years, so he is not just waiting dryly. Usually, he himself will often go in and out of Jixu Ridge, hoping to find the Bingdi Bu Tianlian. He thought that Yang Kai was destined not to run away for long with his powerful strength, but after chasing him for a while, he realized that he was wrong. The distance between him and Yang Kai has never been shortened. Every time he uses the secret technique to close the distance, Yang Kai can always get rid of him smoothly, which makes him furious but helpless. It is really difficult to catch warriors who have cultivated space power. Yao Chengjun knew this naturally after fighting against such warriors. And judging from Yang Kai's previous method of using the space secret technique, this kid's attainment in space power is extremely high. Even if it is not better than the person he knows, it is definitely not the level that he can understand at his age and cultivation base. Where did this kid come from? Yao Chengjun couldn't figure it out 10,000 times. Could it be that he was really an apprentice taught by Li Wuyi? Li Wuyi is the one who studies space power the most in the entire star world. The chase lasted for 5 full days, and Yao Chengjun still failed to capture Yang Kai, which made him wonder if he was going to miss this opportunity. If it weren't for the damage of the soul, the strength of the whole body and the lack of peak state, just a Daoyuan 3rd level realm, even if he is proficient in space power, he would never want to jump in front of him like this. He can completely suppress the day where Yang Kai is, and suppress him with super cultivation base so that he doesn't even have the chance to use the space power. Too bad there aren't that many if. Just when Yao Chengjun's face was livid and he secretly vowed that he would die if he caught Yang Kai, he suddenly became overjoyed. Because he found that Yang Kai stopped suddenly and didn't know if he was in danger or fell into some kind of restriction, but no matter what the reason was, it was good news for Yao Chengjun. He tried his best to urge his flying secret treasure to move closer to Yang Kai. "Senior brother, what's wrong?" Lu Shanyan looked at Yang Kai with a puzzled expression from thousands of miles away. Just now Yang Kai suddenly stopped and his expression changed. "I'm so stupid." Yang Kai gritted his teeth and scolded with an annoyed expression. "What's the matter?" Lu Shanyan didn't know why he said that about herself. "Wait for me for a while, I'll come." Yang Kai put Lu Shanyan down as he spoke, and scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense to find a suitable position, then rushed over there. After a while, Yang Kai dodged into mysterious Xiaoji. Yang Kai was actually very surprised that Yao Chengjun could keep chasing after him so perseveringly, because this man's soul had been severely injured, and it was impossible to use his spiritual sense to lock his escape direction and location. In fact, Yang Kai hadn't noticed it since he fled for 5 days. To Yao Chengjun's divine sense. But he was still able to pinpoint where he was and even kept chasing after him. "You must know that you have used your space magic power." With Yao Chengjun's current state, Yang Kai has full confidence to get rid of him. How can he do this? The only explanation is that he or Lu Shanyan has planted a secret technique or some kind of seal on him. Only through this secret technique or seal can Yao Chengjun locate himself. Thinking of this, Yang Kai knew that he had been too negligent in the past 5 days. If he had noticed earlier, he might have already left him without a trace. Yang Kai's senses in mysterious Xiaoji were infinitely magnified. He refined the mysterious boundary orb, which is what the ruler of the world moves, and the power of the world moves. Even if the mysterious little boundary is not perfect, it is easy to detect any abnormalities. Yang Kai mobilized the power of the world in mysterious small boundary to search inch by inch on his body. He secretly prayed that things would not be too complicated. The secret technique or the seal had better be applied to himself. If it were applied to Lu Shanyan, he would have to bring Lu Shanyan to Shaoxuanji for inspection. After the 5 breaths, Yang Kai's eyes lit up and he reached out from his space ring to take out the jade box containing the sky-butchering lotus and threw it to Lu Yan, who rushed over. This jade box has the aura of a strong man on it. It erases. Lu Yan took it and hadn't had time to tell Yang Kai that Yang Kai had disappeared in a flash. In the depths of Jixu Ridge, Lu Shanyan looked at the strange environment around her alone, feeling anxious and uneasy. Yang Kai flashed into the back of a small mound and didn't know what he was doing, and suddenly disappeared without even leaving a trace of breath. This made her worry about gain and loss, even though she knew that Yang Kai was not the kind of person who disregarded the life and death of her companions. She still couldn't avoid thinking wildly, did she think that she was a drag on Yang Kai, so he left himself here? No, no, no. Lu Shanyan kept shaking his head. If Yang Kai was really this kind of person, he wouldn't have escaped with him when he was in Jade Feather Sect, and would have given half of the property in the ring to him for a few days. In the Yuting tea house before, he would not take the risk of offending a strong 3rd-level emperor to escape with him. Senior brother must have something urgent. Lu Shanyan comforted herself in her heart. Just after turning this thought, Yang Kai's aura suddenly appeared strangely, and then he rushed out from behind the small mound. Senior brother. Lu Shanyan felt relaxed as soon as a big stone fell from his heart. Yang Kai jumped in front of her without saying a word, stretched out his hand to embrace her again, and the space power teleported away one after another. After a while, the two of them had arrived thousands of miles away. Only then did Yang Kai suddenly sacrifice his own wooden boat, dragging Lu Shanyan up and hurriedly said, "Take off your clothes." Ah, Lu Shanyan blushed when she heard the words. To be continued. XH 118. I 1/4 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 I 1/4. Chapter 2359 The Maelstrom of Lonely Void. Chapter 2359 Maelstrom of Lonely Void. In this wilderness, Yang Kai suddenly asked her to take off her clothes, and he used a tone that could not be refuted. Lu Shanyan was naturally angry and ashamed, and it was inevitable that he would be a little bit wrong. Yang Kai Dao. The jade box was imprinted by Yao Changjun, so he can lock our position. I don't know if you have it on your clothes, but always take precautions, you change a set of clothes. Hearing his explanation, Lu Shanyan knew exactly what Yang Kai meant, and realized that he had misunderstood Yang Kai's intentions, and his face became embarrassing for a while. She was not a coy little girl, she immediately began to undress after knowing the reason. Not long after, she changed into another set of clothes, and burned her original one clean. 3,000 miles away, Yao Changjun's body suddenly stopped, and his face was extremely livid, because just now he suddenly noticed that the tracking mark he had planted had disappeared. At that time in the tea house, after he took the jade box from Yang Kai, he branded a mark directly. It was not because he could predict the future, but just to be careful. He waited in Gaocheng for 200 years, and finally saw Budi and Lian. How can you not be cautious? Facts have proved that his cautiousness allowed him to chase Yang Kai for 5 days. But just now, the mark suddenly disappeared. How did Yao Changjun not know that Yang Kai must have discovered the imprint he planted and erased it? But what I can't figure out is how can Yang Kai erase his mark with a mere Daoyuan third-layer realm? This gap in strength is not fake. In an instant, Yao Changjun was anxious and angry, and shouted to the sky, "Boy, even if you dig 3 feet into the ground, I will catch you back." Although there is no mark to point him in the direction, Yao Changjun is still unwilling to let it go. Budianlian is not something that can be seen casually. This time it is completely due to chance. If he misses this time, he may come again in the future. I can't see it either. He secretly swore that no matter what, he would find Yang Kai, tear him into pieces, and take back Budianlian. In the depths of Lonely Void Ridge, Yang Kai's face was ugly. Although he had completely gotten rid of Yao Changjun, Yang Kai found that his situation hadn't improved, because he got lost in this ghostly place. I asked Lu Shanyan, and she also said that she didn't know how to get out from here. She had only been in such a deep place once, and it was all luck that she was able to get out last time. The surrounding environment seems to be carved out of the same mold. Yang Kai walked here for a long time in a daze, not knowing if he was going around in circles. Even his consciousness couldn't extend too far. There seemed to be a kind of magical power here, suppressed his spiritual thoughts. At a certain moment, Yang Kai suddenly stopped, looking around solemnly. "Brother, what's the matter?" Lu Shanyan asked nervously. "Do you feel that this land is moving?" Yang Kai asked. Lu Shanyan suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, although Yang Kai's tone was flat, but the meaning of those words made her a little creepy. "Maybe it's an illusion," Yang Kai muttered to himself. Lu Shanyan swallowed her saliva, and said softly, "Brother, there has always been a saying in Jixu Ridge." "What do you say?" "Some people say that Lonely Void Ridge is alive." Lu Shanyan's pretty face turned pale. "Live?" Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. Lu Shanyan nodded, and said, "Jixiling's landforms are changing all the time, so there is no map information for this place. Sometimes the landforms of a certain place change very quickly, and sometimes they change rapidly. It's slow, it's imperceptible, but most people feel that the ridge is alive." Yang Kai frowned, thought for a while, and suddenly his eyes lit up, saying, "This statement may not be correct, but there is definitely some basis." "What do you mean?" Lu Shanyan looked at Yang Kai puzzled. Yang Kai Dao. "Junior sister, you have been active outside Jixu Ridge, don't you often find good things?" "That's right," Lu Shanyan replied, "not only me, but many people in Gaocheng are like this." Yang Kai nodded and said, Since there are many people working in the periphery all year round, logically speaking, there should be no grass growing in the periphery. Even if there are any good things, they will be taken away long ago, but you can often find some nice onia. This is also what I have always wondered about. Lu Shanyan nodded and said, she has never understood why. She has been to Jade Ridge many times, except for the occasional few times when she was unlucky and found nothing. Sometimes you can always find something useful for your own cultivation in the periphery. But this is obviously unreasonable. Brother, what do you mean? Yang Kai Dao. Lonely Void Ridge is moving. Every once in a while, the earth in the depths will flow to the periphery, and the spiritual herbs and medicines in the depths will naturally appear in the periphery, so there will always be good things in the periphery. Quote. How do you know? Lu Shanyan was extremely astonished. She had lived in Jiksu Ridge for several years, and she hadn't thought of this aspect. Yang Kai had only been here for a few days, and she had thought of this level. Yang Kai smiled slightly and said, yes, I don't know if it's right. But this conjecture is very likely to be true, because it perfectly explains why good things often appear on the outskirts of Lonely Void Ridge. This piece of land is alive, wriggling and rolling at a speed that ordinary people can't detect. When the originally deep land flows to the periphery, it will naturally bring out the good things. However, the warriors in Jiksu Ridge have a feeling that they don't know the true face of Mount Lu, and they can't detect the changes in Jiksu Ridge at all. Clatter. At this moment, there was a sound of fluttering wings all around, and then, countless birds in the dense forest soared into the sky, as if they were frightened by something. Not only that, but the beasts on the ground also started to run away. They scurry around like headless chickens. In less than 3 breaths of time, the entire Jiksu Ridge suddenly boiled. What's going on? Lu Shanyan's pretty face changed, and she asked in a startled voice. Yang Kai also looked puzzled, but the next moment, his face suddenly changed, because he saw those birds flying high in the sky. They were all frozen in midair. No matter how they flapped their wings, they couldn't move forward. It was as if there was an invisible force holding them back. Among those birds, there were many 11th order monsters, and Yang Kai even saw a 12th-tier monster that was comparable to Emperor Senior Stage. Just when Yang Kai was suspicious, the ground under his feet suddenly flowed rapidly, causing Yang Kai to lose his footing, and almost fell to the ground. At the same time, a strong suction came from a position deeper in Jade Void Ridge, holding Yang Kai's body, trying to drag him over there. Yang Kai's complexion changed drastically, and he couldn't help but urge the source force to wrap Lu Shanyan directly, and he wanted to use his space power to escape from here. But under the ups and downs of space power, he was still in place. Feeling it with his heart, Yang Kai lost his voice and said, the law is broken. The law of this piece of heaven and earth has become shattered under this accident, and he has no way to use the law of space to leave here. But in such a short time, the speed of the ground under his feet became faster. Yang Kai couldn't help feeling a little dizzy. Lu Shanyan was even more unbearable. His feet were not stable. He could only hug Yang Kai's backhand waist. The suction from the depths was even more terrifying, and with Yang Kai's cultivation, he couldn't resist. No matter how hard he tried to stabilize his figure, those birds and beasts were all being dragged by the suction at this moment, blinking. Disappeared in Yang Kai's field of vision for a while, and many birds and beasts with lower strength exploded into a cloud of blood mist. All of a sudden, beasts roared and birds sang continuously, and Jiksu Ridge became extremely lively. Somewhere 3,000 miles away, Yao Chengjun also looked horrified, and tried his best to encourage Diyuan to get rid of the shackles of this world, but even with his cultivation level, he couldn't do it, so he could only barely stand there, be dragged away. The great whirlpool of silence. Yao Chengjun's face was so gloomy that water dripped out, and the emperor's heart, which was as stubborn as a rock, trembled slightly, panicking. Unlike Yang Kai, who just arrived here, and Lu Shanyan, who lived here not long ago, Yao Chengjun's research on Lonely Void Ridge is extremely thorough. He knows that this ghostly place does not seem to be dangerous at ordinary times, but at a certain moment, it can burst out into the sky. The power of heaven that even the nobles can't resist. At this time, it is the time when the great vortex of silence appears. The great maelstrom of Jiksu is definitely a natural disaster that will destroy and reshape Jiksu Ridge. Yang Kai guessed right before. Lonely Void Ridge is indeed constantly changing and creeping, and the terrain is also shifting all the time, so the surrounding warriors can often find some good things. But this kind of shifting and creeping is actually very slow, and it will not bring too much danger to the warriors who come here to experience, and because the warriors are all in Lonely Void Ridge, they are generally not aware of this kind of shifting and creeping. By then, the terrain change has been completed. However, when the speed of this change and creep reaches a certain limit, the entire Silent Void Ridge will spin like a crazy top, and during this rotation, Silent Void Ridge will be reshaped. This is the Great Vortex of Silence. No one knows why Jigsu Ridge is like this. The heavens and the earth are made by gods, and Yao Chengjun has entered and exited Jigsu Ridge many times, but he can't research anything. It's just that the cycle of the Great Vortex of Solitude is extremely long, and it usually only appears once in hundreds of thousands of years. As far as Yao Chengjun knows, the last time the Vortex of Solitude appeared was 600 years ago. Countless warriors who have entered Silent Void Ridge, this time is obviously no exception. And he was so lucky that he ran into him. Yao Chengjun hated Yang Kai in his heart, and felt that if this kid hadn't been a hindrance, he wouldn't have ventured into this place and encountered such an irresistible natural disaster. If he was still on the periphery of Silent Void Ridge, he would definitely be able to escape with his powerful cultivation base, but in order to chase Yang Kai, he has gone deep into the interior. When the maelstrom appeared, the further inward it was, the more terrifying the suction, and the harder it was to resist. At this moment, he was only 2,000 miles away from the center of Jigsu Ridge, and he was doomed at such a distance. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2360 Strange Island. If someone can overlook Jigsu Ridge from a high altitude, they can see that Jigsu Ridge is spinning wildly like a spinning top at this moment. With a certain place as the center, the entire Jigsu Ridge presents a huge funnel shape. A powerful devouring forces emanate from that center, affecting all living beings in Dead Ridge. Countless birds and beasts were sucked into the funnel-shaped vortex one after another, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. However, more birds and beasts and the warriors who had experienced and searched for resources here exploded into blood mist, leaving no bones left. Those warriors who were lucky enough to be active in the periphery were lucky enough to escape under this accident, but when they looked back, everyone's complexion turned pale, and their hearts were filled with lingering fear. Many people don't know what's going on, but some people know that this is the famous maelstrom of Lonely Void. The news spread from 10 to 10, and soon everyone heard the news of the great maelstrom of the Lonely Void. When they marveled at the horror of nature, they became full of anticipation again. Because every time after the great vortex of Jigsu Ridge, the entire Jigsu Ridge will be reshaped, and some genius treasures that were originally in the depths of Jigsu Ridge have flowed to the periphery with the change of landform. In other words, after the silence of Silent Void Ridge subsides, there will be a large number of geniuses and treasures appearing on the periphery, which makes them not expect it. I seem to have seen the City Lord enter the depths of Lonely Void Ridge before, and I don't know if it's because of my eyesight. That's right, I saw it too. The City Lord acted in a hurry, as if he was chasing someone. The City Lord is in trouble now, and I don't know if he can return safely. I don't have much hope. The depths of Lonely Void Ridge are already extremely dangerous. Even if the Lord of the city goes deep into it, it may not be safe and sound. Now that we encounter this Lonely Void whirlpool again, I'm afraid it will be more or less ominous. Many warriors gathered in the distance outside Jigsu Ridge, talking about it. If Pang Guang really fell in Jigsu Ridge this time, the power of Gaocheng will be reshuffled. This is good news for many people. For a while, some families are happy and some are sad. Everyone's mood is extremely complicated. At the same time, in the depths of Lonely Void Ridge, Yang Kai protected Lu Shanyan, struggling to resist the terrifying suction from the center. His clothes were broken into strips of cloth, his skin was cracked, his body was covered in blood, and he looked extremely miserable. I don't know what's going on with the suction from the depths. The more you resist it, the more terrifying it is, and the force is added to Yang Kai, making him feel more and more hard. If it weren't for his good physical fitness, I'm afraid he would have exploded and died like those creatures. Senior brother, leave me alone and run away by yourself. Although Lu Shanyan was also resisting, but because of Yang Kai's support, the situation was better than Yang Kai's. Seeing Yang Kai's appearance now, he felt guilty and restless, knowing that he has dragged Yang Kai down. While speaking, she stepped a little to keep away from Yang Kai. Yang Kai held her back, shook his head slowly, and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, I will tell you when I really can't hold on." At this critical juncture of life and death, he did not abandon himself. Lu Shanyan's heart was filled with warmth, and he was extremely moved. It is easy to share wealth and wealth, but difficult to share adversity. It is easiest to see people's hearts in times of adversity. Lu Shanyan felt that it was the greatest luck in her life to meet Yang Kai in the star boundary. She gave up resistance without any trace, showed a sad smile, and said, "Brother, take care of yourself in the future." "What are you doing?" Yang Kai's face changed, and when he noticed her land, he quickly shouted, "Don't give up, I still have other ways." Lu Shanyan shook his head slowly, allowing himself to be dragged by the terrifying force. Yang Kai was in a hurry. He understood that Lu Shanyan was determined not to drag him down, and when he was about to throw her into mysterious small world desperately, Lu Shanyan suddenly had a strange look on his face. The next moment, she called out coquettishly, "Brother, don't resist, there is no danger at all if you don't resist." Hearing what she said, Yang Kai's expression brightened. He looked carefully, and found that Lu Shanyan was not injured at all. Knowing what she said was true, he quickly dissipated his own strength, letting the terrifying suction linger around his body. The power that originally suppressed himself and caused extremely strong damage to his body disappeared at this moment. Indeed, as Lu Shanyan said, it's okay if the power doesn't resist, but the more you resist, the more uncomfortable it will be. However, in the case of ordinary people, who would not resist? He must have tried his best to escape. Once he did, he would be close to death. After giving up resistance, the powerful suction came, and Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan were quickly sucked towards the center of Jixu Ridge by this force. The surging force made Yang Kai feel like he was in the middle of a strong wind and waves. A lonely boat is in danger of overturning at any time. "Senior brother, look." Lu Shanyan hugged Yang Kai's arm tightly, not minding the deformation of the huge chest on his chest being squeezed by Yang Kai's arm, and suddenly exclaimed. Yang Kai turned his head and looked. His face sank. He found that in the direction of the suction, a huge pitch-black funnel appeared in front of his eyes. Near the funnel, the earth rolled and squirmed, and countless birds and beasts were sucked in. Life or death is unknown. He intends to release his divine sense to investigate the internal situation, but the divine sense is crushed as soon as he leaves the body, which makes his mind ache, and he dare not do it again. Lu Shanyan also became more and more nervous, her tender body trembling, like a quail that hadn't built a nest in the cold winter. She didn't know whether she would live or die after being sucked into this vortex. She had only been in the star realm for a few years, so naturally she was unwilling so dead. Looking up at Yang Kai, he found that although his face was dignified, he didn't see the slightest sign of panic. A heart suddenly stabilized a lot. "I feel that even if I die, if I can die with Yang Kai, it is a good thing." Thinking of this, her body relaxed a lot for no reason. "Protect yourself." Yang Kai gently patted Lu Shanyan's back. As soon as he finished speaking, he and Lu Shanyan were sucked into the vortex. Suddenly, a feeling of dizziness spread all over his body, making him unable to distinguish the north, south, east, and west. The whole world suddenly darkened, and there was no light at all. The figure keeps spinning and falling, as if there is a bottomless pit under the vortex, which makes people feel uneasy, and they don't know when it will end. But what reassures Yang Kai is that this kind of fall is not dangerous. Lu Shanyan hugged him even tighter. His whole body was as stiff as a piece of wood. I don't know how long it took. Yang Kai suddenly felt a ray of light coming, but under the power of the vortex, he still couldn't regain his senses and couldn't see the surrounding situation clearly. Bump-a! With a loud bang, Yang Kai felt great pain all over his body, as if his whole body was going to be shattered, but he was not surprised but happy, because at this moment he felt that he had landed on the ground, and the power of the vortex that had been entangled around him was also at the same time. At the same time, it disappeared, and only an ear-piercing whistling sound could be heard. Bang bang bang. Something kept falling on his surroundings, and some covered his body. The smell seemed to be a mixture of mud and flesh, which was extremely unpleasant. Yang Kai didn't dare to move, fearing that something might happen again. He carefully urged the source force to protect himself and Lu Shanyan, and found that the source force was running freely and would not cause the inexplicable force to backlash, so he couldn't help but feel relieved. Lu Shanyan seemed to be in a coma, and she didn't see any movement, but her breathing was smooth, and she obviously didn't suffer any major injuries. After half an hour, the surrounding movement gradually calmed down. Yang Kai waited for a while, and after confirming that there was no danger, he pushed the source force and blasted away the mud and messy debris that covered him. From the mount soared into the sky. He landed lightly, first checked Lu Shanyan's situation, and found that she was indeed unconscious, and then began to survey the surrounding environment. What he saw made Yang Kai look stunned. He found that the place he was in turned out to be an island. The area of this island is not too large, only about a few miles in radius, and looking at the color of the land on the island and some sundries, it is clearly an island that has just been formed. Because the soil here is exactly the same as the soil in the depths of Lonely Void Ridge, there are still many bloody corpses of birds and animals on the island, and the whole island presents a strange color of dark red. This island must have been formed because of the changes in Jiksu Ridge. When the vortex-like force swirled, it brought the land of Jiksu Ridge here to fill this island. Around the island, there is an endless sea with fierce waves. What shocked Yang Kai even more was that on the surface of the sea, a strange landscape of dragons absorbing water came into view. Those jets of water rose from the sea and rushed into the sky, connecting the sky and the earth, with a magnificent momentum. There are countless dragons like this on the sea, big and small, but each of them exudes strong suction, giving people an extremely dangerous feeling. They are not standing still, but constantly moving. The speed is also fast and slow, very different. Those water jets that move fast are as fast as lightning, flashing past in Yang Kai's field of vision, bringing up huge chalk waves. The destructive power is amazing. Feeling the aura of heaven and earth around him, it was extremely rich, but Yang Kai felt that the aura of heaven and earth here was somewhat different from the aura of other places, and he couldn't tell what the difference was. What the hell is this place? How come after coming in from the great vortex in the depths of Lonely Void Ridge, it came here? It is impossible to say that this is the underground depths of Lonely Void Ridge. After all, this place looks extremely vast, and there is a vast ocean. How could it be the underground of Lonely Void Ridge? Is this a secret place? Yang Kai was startled, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt it made sense. When he was swallowed by the vortex before, Yang Kai clearly felt the traces of space transmission, and the huge vortex was most likely the entrance to this secret realm. If this place is a secret place, then things will be troublesome. In this vast sea, where should he go to find the exit? To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at AC ± a degree a diaresis T. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2361. Chapter 2361, Twin Plants. Just when Yang Kai was at a loss, there was a sound not far away, and then a figure shot up into the sky and landed not far away from him. Seeing this person, Yang Kai's complexion changed drastically, and he hurriedly led Lu Shanyan back, widening the distance between him and the other party. This person is Yao Changjun. When he was swallowed by the vortex before, Yang Kai didn't find Yao Changjun's trace, and he didn't know whether he was swallowed first or later. Anyway, he must have failed to escape the catastrophe just now, and fell into this place together. Moreover, Yao Changjun's state at the moment looked extremely miserable. His clothes were torn, his gray hair was messy, he was covered in blood, and his breath was a little unstable, obviously because he had received a strong backlash against the devouring power before. Yang Kai gave up his resistance because he was reminded by Lu Shanyan. Even though he didn't look very good at the moment, he was undoubtedly much better than Yao Changjun. This guy is not dead. Yang Kai also admired his powerful cultivation base. He is worthy of being a third-layer emperor. Even if the soul has suffered heavy injuries, it is not so simple to die. It's you bastard. Yao Changjun soon spotted Yang Kai's figure. His expression turned cold and his murderous intent surged. If it wasn't for Yang Kai, how could he take the risk of chasing into Lonely Void Ridge? If he hadn't chased into Jiksu Ridge, how could he have encountered the Jiksu Maelstrom? Now that they are in trouble, all the culprits are Yang Kai. At this moment, when the enemy meets, they are naturally extremely jealous. Just when he was furious and ready to attack Yang Kai, there was another light sound not far away, and another figure rushed out from under the soil. Both Yang Kai and Yao Changjun were shocked by this turn of events, and they turned their attention to the past, but after seeing the man's appearance clearly, the two were relieved quickly. Because the third person who appeared here was Pang Guang, the Lord of Gaocheng. Yao Changjun knew about the fact that Pang Guang was behind him, but he wanted to find Yang Kai's trace, so he didn't pay much attention to Pang Guang. When the Lonely Void Ridge came together, Pang Guang naturally had no resistance and was attracted into here. But what surprised him a little was that Pang Guang's condition was much better than him. He was just a little bit embarrassed all over, but he didn't see any injuries and he was full of energy. Are you all okay? Pang Guang came out and was surprised to see Yang Kai and Yao Chengjun confronting each other. Yao Chengjun immediately snorted coldly. What do you hope will happen to this old man? Seeing Pang Guang's appearance, he knew that the other party knew how to evade the devouring power, so he was intact. On the contrary, he had been hiding his name in Gaocheng for 200 years, and he made such a mess, and he couldn't hold his face for a while. Having suffered a big loss from Yao Chengjun before, how could Pang Guang dare to be presumptuous in front of him? Hearing this, he smiled coyly and said, "It is best if the senior is safe." Pang just asked casually. Yang Kai grinned and said, "City Master Pang is not kind, he knows how to avoid the danger, but he doesn't tell Senior Yao, he clearly wants Senior Yao to die early. Senior Yao, if I were you, I couldn't take it anymore, I had to beat him to vent my anger." Pang Guang's face darkened, and he looked at Yao Chengjun cautiously. Seeing that his expression was indifferent, he immediately shouted, "Stop talking nonsense, boy, I haven't told you about killing my subordinates and robbing my property. Let us settle the score. Senior Yao's generation of reclusive masters, who can see the fire like a torch, can sow discord with you." While speaking, he turned his head to look at Yao Chengjun, clasped his fists and said, "Senior, although I have grudges with this kid, it's just a trivial matter. You are the most important thing here. If you want to kill him and cut him, this junior just watches the fun and never intervene." Yao Chengjun glanced at him indifferently, and said slowly, "You have been hanging behind the old man, and you also want to watch the fun." A layer of cold sweat suddenly broke out on Pang Guang's forehead, and the corner of his mouth twitched. "Senior, I misunderstood, Pang entered Lonely Void Ridge just for one thing to do, and he has absolutely no intention of following Senior." Yao Chengjun snorted coldly, non-committal, with a proud demeanor, although he was also seriously injured when he was swallowed by the maelstrom before. Neither Pang Guang nor Yang Kai, he didn't pay attention to him, he was injured by Yang Kai in the tea house earlier for a moment, it's just because of lack of defense. However, in his current state, it is best not to fall out with Pang Guang. After all, he is not at his peak state, and Pang Guang is still at the first level of Emperor Senior. If he really wants to fight, even if he can kill Pang Guang, he also has to pay a price. "Senior, is this place the legendary Lonely Void Secret Realm?" Seeing that he was silent, Pang Guang felt a little apprehensive, so he quickly changed the subject and asked. "Secret Realm of Silence?" Yang Kai frowned when he heard this. Now he wants to find out what the hell this is, no more than Pang Guang and Yao Chengjun. He is new here, and those two obviously know some information, so he involuntarily raised his ears and listened with great interest. "Since you know, why do you need to ask the old man?" Yao Chengjun snorted coldly, obviously not wanting to see him. Pang Guang said embarrassingly, "I really didn't expect that the secret realm of Jixu really exists. Wang Pang has been the city lord for hundreds of years, and today he finally gained insight. Where is the Lonely Void Secret Realm, and how do I get out?" Yang Kai asked hastily. Pang Guang's face was serious, and he shouted, "What are you doing asking so many questions, just stay here and wait for death." Yang Kai's face darkened, and he said, "City Master Pang, no matter what grievances everyone had before, they are still grasshoppers on a rope now. Do you have any information to share? It's not about killing your father and taking your wife, why are you so stingy?" Quote. Pang Guang said with a sneer, "Differences do not conspire with each other. I have nothing to say with you, let's talk about it after you can survive under Senior Yao's hands." Yang Kai offended Yao Chengjun. Pang Guang had already regarded Yang Kai as a dead person in his heart, how could he have the time to chat with him? After finishing speaking, he looked at Yao Chengjun with a flattering smile and said, "Senior, this secret realm of solitude only exists in according to the legend, it is easy to get in but difficult to get out, I wonder if Senior has any good strategies." His face-changing speed was faster than turning the pages of a book. Yang Kai laughed and said, "So you don't know how to get out?" Pang Guang snorted. "What's so funny about this? Be careful to laugh your teeth out." While talking, Pang Guang suddenly frowned, sniffed the air lightly, and asked suspiciously, "What's the smell?" In the air, a strange fragrance suddenly wafted out, which shocked people's spirits. Yang Kai and Yao Chengjun obviously smelled it too. The scent made them feel very familiar. After looking at each other, they remembered something in unison, and at the same time lost their voices. Bendianlian. When the words fell, the two of them had already rushed towards the direction of the fragrance source. Pang Guang was stunned for a moment, but his face changed after hearing the word Butianlian, and he rushed over. Although Pang Guang and Yao Changjun are both Emperor Senior Realm powerhouses, but Yang Kai possesses spatial supernatural powers, the speed of the explosion is naturally not comparable to the two of them, just a teleport, and Yang Kai has arrived at the source of the fragrance. This is a pile of mud. This pile of mud is obviously sent from Jiksu Ridge, and the soil is clear. Yang Kai directly stretched out his hand into the mud pile, grabbed something, felt the size of the thing and the energy fluctuations it emitted, and was overjoyed to throw it into the space ring. The boy is looking for death. Yao Changjun was furious, and he slapped Yang Kai with a turbulent palm. Fortunately, he didn't dare to use his full strength, for fear of hurting the elixir, but this palm was still not something Yang Kai could compete with. Yang Kai let out a muffled snort, forcibly mobilized his power, teleported again, and dodged from the spot. Boom-a! The pile of mud was directly smashed into powder, leaving a huge pit in place, and the entire newly formed island shook a few times, as if it was about to collapse immediately. Yao Changjun stood there with a pale face, looking coldly in one direction. Pang Guang also paused, with a look of disbelief on his face. Yang Kai was able to avoid Yao Changjun's blow. This scene was completely beyond his knowledge. Even if he himself faced that blow, he might not be able to dodge it. "Senior, what are you doing so angry? It's really scary," Yang Kai said while shaking the dirt on his hand, and the elixir that he grabbed on the palm of his hand immediately revealed his true face. This elixir is surprisingly the Budian Lily. It looks exactly the same size as the one that Lu Shanyan got before, except that that one is as white as snow, not stained with any dust, but this one is as black as ink, extremely weird. Budianlian has always had two plants with parallel pedicles. Lu Shanyan got one of them by chance before, but for some reason, he couldn't find the second one. Now that the great vortex of emptiness appeared, a large amount of elixir and soil were swallowed up and sent to the island, and the second blossoming lotus plant also appeared. Looking at the Budianlian in Yang Kai's hand, Yao Changjun's breathing became short of breath. He wasted 200 years in Gaocheng, for what? Isn't it for the Budianlian? As long as he can get Budianlian and let people refine Bingdibudian pill, then his injuries will be healed, and then he will be able to restore his peak combat power and seek revenge from his enemies. But, after waiting for 200 years, although Budianlian appeared, the good things were destroyed by Yang Kai one after another. The previous one was snatched away by Yang Kai without paying attention, but the current one is still the same. Yao Changjun's lungs exploded with anger. Since he was promoted to the Emperor Senior Realm, it seems that he has never suffered such a big loss, and it was a loss at the hands of a kid in the Dao Origin Realm one after another. Looking at the Budianlian in Yang Kai's hand, and seeing him slowly stuffing it into the space ring, Yao Changjun resisted the idea of snatching it now, and said in a deep voice, "Boy, give the Budianlian to the old man, and let the past go. The old man can still take you out of here." When Pang Guang heard the words, his eyes lit up, and he quickly said, "Senior Yao will bring me with you when the time comes." Yao Changjun was so angry that he glared at him and shouted angrily, "If you dare to say a word again, this old man will kill you right now." Pang Guang was startled, and he didn't dare to say anything. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2362. Don't force me. Take me out first, everything is easy to talk about. Yang Kai looked at Yao Changjun with a smile, "Or, you can tell me how to get out." "Boy, how dare you bargain with the old man?" Yao Changjun was furious. "Yang Kai Dao, I'm just afraid that the seniors will blackmail me." What kind of status is this old man? How could he do such shameless things? Yao Changjun snorted coldly. Yang Kai shook his head and said, "It's not good to say, if you don't know how to get out, senior, wouldn't I be a fool if I handed over the elixir for nothing?" Pang Guang immediately shouted angrily, "Little beast, Senior Yao asked you to hand over the elixir to save face. If you dare not cooperate, you are courting death." Yang Kai and Yao Changjun turned their heads together and hummed, "It's none of your business." Pang Guang's face was hot, and this time he flattered the horse's leg with an embarrassing expression. Yang Kai stared at Yao Changjun for a while, sneered and said, "It seems that the senior is a mud bodhisattva crossing the river, and he can't protect himself. He even said that he would take me out. Ridiculous, ridiculous." Looking at Yao Changjun's expression at the moment, he knew that he didn't know how to get out of this ghost place. If Yao Changjun really had a way to leave, it would not be unreasonable to exchange Bingdibu Tianlian for it. The key is that this old guy can't get out by himself, so how can he take him with him? After being broken by Yang Kai, Yao Changjun was not annoyed at all, but said indifferently, with the old man's cultivation, how can a mere secret realm trap me? The old man will always find a way out. Then wait until you find a way out. You hand over the things, or not. Yao Changjun obviously lost his patience, and when he asked this question, his old face was so gloomy that he almost dripped water. What do you think? Yang Kai looked puzzled. Very good. Yao Changjun took a deep breath, and his murderous intent had already begun. However, he didn't attack Yang Kai immediately, but suddenly turned his gaze to Pang Guang. Pang Guang was watching a good show, and suddenly noticed Yao Changjun's cold gaze. He couldn't help shaking, and said embarrassingly, "Senior. Get out." Yao Changjun shouted loudly, "Otherwise I will kill you as well." The voice gathered into a wave and rushed towards Pang Guang like a spear. Pang Guang was shocked and fell back several steps, his face turning pale. "Senior, Pang can help you and help you catch this kid." Pang Guang hastily expressed his sincerity, but he was suddenly trapped in this secret realm of emptiness. A sense of security. He just wanted to hug Yao Changjun's thigh, but he didn't want the other party to tell him to get out without giving him face and a chance. Yao Changjun snorted coldly. "The old man wants your help. If you don't leave, then never leave." Pang Guang was shocked. He gritted his teeth and looked at Yang Kai, then at Yao Changjun, then stomped his feet, straightened his body, and galloped towards the depths of the sea. Although he didn't know why Yao Changjun was in such a hurry to drive him away, he knew that the other party was really impatient, and if he kept entangled, it would definitely arouse his murderous intentions. With his cultivation base against Yao Changjun, there is no chance of winning at all. He can only escape one step first. Although the sea didn't seem to be peaceful, but was full of dangers, and he didn't even know which direction to run away, but it was better than staying here and waiting to die, right? It took only 10 breaths of time before and after, and Pang Guang disappeared. In such a hurry to drive Pang Guang away, are you afraid that he will see that your soul has been injured? Yang Kai looked at Yao Changjun with a smile and asked lightly. Yao Changjun's complexion changed drastically, and a dangerous light flashed in his squinted eyes. "It's really not luck that you sneaked up on the old man before." Yang Kai laughed. The effect of Bingdi Bu Tianlian is nothing more than repairing the broken meridian dantian and sea of AA consciousness. Senior looks full of energy and abundant Emperor Yuan. It is obviously not that there is a problem with the meridian and dantian. I am so eager to get Bingdi Bu Tianlian, it is obvious that it is going to restore the sea of AA consciousness. Are you so proficient in pharmacology? Yao Changjun was a little surprised. It was obviously not easy for the kid in front of him to be able to deduce that his soul had been injured through such a little clue. He's not talented, but he's an emperor-level alchemist. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Yao Changjun's face changed slightly, but he quickly snorted coldly and said, "Does this old man look like someone with a problem with IQ?" He obviously thought that Yang Kai was talking nonsense. Yang Kai is not very old. It is shocking enough to have a Daoyuan third-layer cultivation base. If he is still an emperor-level alchemist, Yao Changjun will be the first to not believe it. Yang Kai may be an alchemist, otherwise he would not be proficient in pharmacology, but he is definitely not an emperor-level alchemist. He felt that Yang Kai said this because he wanted to let him live. After all, even if he got the Bingdi Bu Tianlian, he still needed an alchemist to refine the elixir, and an emperor-level alchemist was the best choice. This kid has a belly full of ditches, full of bad water. Yao Changjun was very vigilant. Yang Kai was stunned, and immediately shook his head with a wry smile. "Senior, your soul has been wounded, and there is indeed something wrong with your IQ. This is a disease, and if it is a disease, you need to be treated." He told the story sincerely, but the other party didn't want to believe it, which made him a little bit ironic. Even if your tongue shines like lotus flowers today, you have to hand over the Bingdi Bu Tianlian. Yao Changjun snorted coldly. Yang Kai looked cold, and said, "I said, first tell me how to get out from here. If you can't even do this, you don't have to count on it. I won't give it to you if I feed it to the dog." The kid wants to die, the old man's patience is limited. Yao Changjun was immediately annoyed when he heard that he compared himself with a dog. Yang Kai said slowly, "Emperor Senior Level 3, I'm not afraid of you, don't force me. If you force me, you will have nothing to eat." Yao Changjun was stunned, and there was an extremely absurd feeling deep in his heart. It is an extremely incredible thing for a Daoyuan third layer to dare to talk in front of him, but now, this kid is still so shameless. said as if he had the strength to fight against him, but it could be seen that the other party's expression was extremely sincere, without any guilt. What's going on? This kid can't really fight with himself, can he? What does he rely on, that supernatural power of space that haunts and disappears? If so, he can only run away, and there is nothing to be afraid of. Yao Chengjun's mind was full of distracting thoughts. He couldn't think of a reason, but he became a little annoyed and said, "Since you are so ignorant of flattery, then this old man will help you." With a little step on his feet, the whole person approached Yang Kai like a ghost, forming a seal with one hand, and leisurely pointed out where Yang Kai was. Within one finger, there is a sense of grandeur of the vastness of the world, giving people a depressive spirit with the mighty power of the world. After all, Yao Chengjun is a strong person at the third level of the Emperor Senior Realm. Although his soul has been injured, his powerful martial arts foundation is still extremely solid. Before the meaning of the finger arrives, there is an aura of breaking the sky and breaking the earth. The power of the law of heaven and earth is lingering on this finger. It seems that Yao Chengjun is the master of this world. Seeing that he was really attacking him, Yang Kai's face changed. He couldn't care about anything else. The source force suddenly circulated, directly stuffed the unconscious Lu Shanyan into the mysterious Shaoji, and at the same time displayed the dragon transformation and Immortal 5 elements sword, the two major secret techniques. Under the surge of space power, they have to escape from where they are. La-a. With a soft sound, when Yang Kai reappeared, he was already somewhere tens of feet away, but there was a transparent blood hole in the shoulder blade, and golden blood gushed out from the hole, piercing his heart. The pain came instantly. Yao Chengjun was taken aback, showing a surprised expression. He was surprised not only that Yang Kai was able to avoid the vital position under his own blow, but also where Lu Shanyan went. He has been paying attention to Yang Kai's movements, and he doesn't care much about the unconscious woman in his hand, but he didn't even notice how the woman disappeared. This is really strange. Although his soul was wounded and he didn't dare to use his divine sense easily, his eyesight was so poor that he couldn't even see people even if they disappeared. Old dog, do you really want to fight with this young master? Yang Kai's aura was violent, and half of his body was soon wet with blood, but the blow did not make him afraid, but seemed to arouse his ferocity, making him the aura of the whole person became as ferocious as a trapped beast. Yao Chengjun's heart skipped a beat for no reason, and he had a vague feeling that if he forced him, something bad would happen. This feeling was inexplicable, but it made all the hairs on his body stand on end. But Kai Gong didn't turn back. He had already wounded Yang Kai. It was useless to say anything now. If he stopped suddenly, wouldn't he admit that he was afraid of him? That's not bad, kid. If you can avoid the old man's blow, you are a dragon and a phoenix. God has the virtue of being good at life, and the old man also has the heart of cherishing talents. I will give you another chance, and obediently hand over the Butianlian, so that you will not die. Quote. Roll. Okay. Yao Chengjun was furious. Since you are so stubborn, then this old man will teach you how to behave. As soon as the posture of his hand changed, Emperor Yuan surged, while restraining Yang Kai's movements, while the power of wind and cloud surged in his palm, he slapped Yang Kai fiercely. He didn't hold back this blow, obviously planning to put Yang Kai to death. Boom-a. A loud bang came out. No matter how Yang Kai resisted the defense, he was blown up by this palm. Countless bones were broken all over his body, his face was pale, and a mouthful of blood spurted out when he opened his mouth. Ha, the boy has a lot of talk, but he only has this little ability, which really disappoints the old man. Seeing how miserable he was, Yao Chengjun felt relieved, thinking that he was probably worrying too much just now. This boy is only a Daoyuan third layer, that's all. Even if he has some whole cards and tricks, he can't be his opponent, and he doesn't know what he was hesitating just now. If he made a move earlier, he would have killed him already. What a shame, to be disturbed by the few words of a brat. Yao Chengjun thought to himself that the soul was seriously injured and left sequelae. Fortunately, the opponent is only at the third level of Daoyuan. If his strength is comparable to him, then he really has nothing to eat. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at AC ± a degree a diaresis T. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2363 Break the Seal. Chapter 2363 Unlocking the Seal. On the island, Yao Changjun's body moved, and he disappeared in place in an instant, and when he reappeared, he had already come to Yongkai, who flew upside down, unable to get rid of like a tarsal maggot. He snorted coldly, and casually grabbed Yongkai with one hand. If you cooperate earlier, this old man may not kill you. The implication is that it is too late for Yongkai to beg for mercy now. He was attacked by Yongkai once, and he had long held a grudge, and regarded it as a great shame. How could he let it go so easily? Too much bullying is destined to end badly, but you forced me to do this. Yongkai gritted his teeth and shouted, facing Yao Changjun's grasp. He did not dodge or dodge, and formed a weird seal with his hands instead. Together with Yin Ju, the feeling that made Yao Changjun tremble suddenly appeared again. His face suddenly changed, he didn't dare to hesitate at all, his hand movements suddenly accelerated, and he grabbed Yongkai's shoulder blades. At this moment, Yongkai's expression suddenly calmed down, his eyes were cold, and he said word by word, "The seal of Kengshuan, solve it." The seal of Kengshuan, what the hell? Yao Changjun had a blank expression on his face. He couldn't understand what Yongkai was saying, but the next moment, his face changed drastically, his whole body seemed to be swallowed by lightning, and his eyes were rounded, as if seeing a ghost in daylight. While screaming strangely, he quickly backed away. Boom-a! There was an explosion, and an indescribable aura suddenly exploded from Yongkai's dantian. The aura was filled with an extremely dark and evil feeling, as if the most brutal and vicious negativity in the world gathered together, stronger than Yao Changjun. His eyes were lost, and his whole body trembled. The pitch-black aura permeated like a substance, wrapping Yongkai at once. The aura seemed to have its own life, flowing continuously on Yongkai's body, gathering one after another mysterious and profound on his skin. Texture. The breath of Yongkai's whole body climbed steadily. The world trembled, the universe collapsed, the universe was turned upside down, and the power that seemed to destroy the sky and the earth sputtered into the void and rushed to the four poles. In just a short moment, Yongkai had disappeared. Looking around, there was only a dark figure left in place. The darkness seemed to be able to swallow everything, and even the light could not penetrate the slightest bit. Only a pair of crimson eyes, full of the meaning of bloody killing. Demonic energy. Yao Changjun's upper and lower rows of teeth were trembling, almost biting his own tongue, looking at the scene in front of him in disbelief. With his knowledge and experience, he could tell at a glance that the demonic energy lingering around Yongkai's side, and it's not just ordinary magic energy, but the purest ancient magic energy. How is it possible? Yao Changjun couldn't believe his eyes. In his lifetime, he actually saw the ancient magic energy, and it still appeared on a warrior of the third level of Daoyuan. The ancient demonic energy is extremely corrosive and assimilative, so if a third-layer emperor like him is wrapped in this ancient demonic energy, he will definitely lose his mind and become a monster in the shortest possible time. How can Yongkai keep himself awake? Store such a terrifying devilish energy in your body. Reminiscent of what Yongkai said before, Yao Changjun suddenly woke up. This kid didn't know how to seal the magic energy in his body, and he could undo the seal when he needed to fight the enemy. But in this way, it will be even more difficult to seal the devilish energy again. Isn't he afraid that he will be swallowed up by the devilish energy and become a monster? No wonder this kid told me not to force him time and time again. It turns out that he really has the strength to fight against him. Although he is suspected of being opportunistic, he still has the capital to say that kind of big talk. Yao Changjun was so annoyed that he was going to die. If he had known this earlier, he would not have forced him too much. Now the kid in front of him is full of demonic energy, and he doesn't know if he is still rational, so that Yao Changjun had no idea of fighting against him at all. Looking carefully at Yongkai's eyes, he found that although the eyes were red and bloodthirsty, they still seemed to be struggling with reason. Yao Changjun hurriedly said, "Wait a minute, little brother, this old man has something to say." Yongkai heard the words, glanced at him lightly, and said lightly, "I will treat you as farting if you say anything." Yao Changjun is angry. If Yongkai dared to talk to him like this before, he would definitely slap him, but now Yongkai has the capital to say this. There was bitterness deep in his heart. Realizing the source of the uneasiness in his heart before, his face changed constantly. The power seems to be stronger. Yongkai clenched his fists and felt his current state slightly, not happy but worried, because this time he untied the gold and silver seal of Kengshu and released the ancient troll in his body after expelling the magic energy. He felt that his strength was much stronger than the previous demonization. This is not because of the improvement of his own strength, but because of the higher degree of fit between the magic energy and his body. The last time he was only at the first level of Daoyuan. After being demonized, he had a battle with the 3 emperors at the first level, and he escaped safely. This time, his demonization was even worse than last time. This made Yang Kai faintly worried, because the greater the strength after demonization, the harder it will be to seal it later. Once he cannot be completely sealed, then he will really be reduced to a monster, lose his sanity, and be doomed forever. Yao Chengjun didn't know that Yang Kai was worried about this, and when he heard that his strength was stronger, he thought this kid was showing off, and suddenly said angrily, "Boy, it's better to get rid of enemies than tie them up. You and I are in such a difficult situation, why bother to fight and kill? Wouldn't it be better to find a way out together? What's more, although your current state is strong, you may not be able to kill this old man, and this old man is not made of mud, eh?" Yang Kai looked at him coldly, and snorted, "If it's a real Emperor Senior Third Order realm, I really can't kill you, but you, a crippled soul, dare to yell in front of me." Crippled, disabled, Yao Chengjun's eyeballs were protruding, and he was so angry that no one had dared to talk to him like that before. "Yang Kai Dao, I don't have much time, I will kill you within 3 moves. Rampant, I'll see how you kill me with 3 tricks." Yao Chengjun trembled angrily, feeling that he was really underestimated, and a sense of arrogance surged up in his heart. Dogs also have several teeth. Just after turning this thought, Yang Kai on the other side suddenly looked concentrating, and whispered word by word in his mouth, "Black pupil purgatory, darkness is boundless." After the words fell, the whole world suddenly became extremely dark, and there was no light at all. No matter how Yao Chengjun used his eyesight, he couldn't see the slightest bit, as if he was suddenly blind. The keen perception of the environment is also suppressed to the limit at this moment. It is impossible for him to be blind for no reason, and it is impossible for the world to turn black without warning. The only explanation is that Yang Kai used some means against the sky. Thinking of the strange black light in Yang Kai's right eye before, Yao Chengjun exclaimed, "Pupil art." As soon as the words came out, he was drenched in cold sweat, because he found that his voice did not come out at all. The world he lived in seemed to be deprived of all feelings, unable to speak, unable to see, making people feel like falling into the abyss of purgatory, forever end of panic. There seemed to be something above his head. Yao Chengjun looked up in shock, and after seeing the thing clearly, his whole body became stiff suddenly. In the boundless black sky, a huge eye stretched across the void, staring at him coldly without emotion. Those eyes were like the eyes of the sky, and those pupils were like the pupils of the earth. Under those giant eyes, Yao Chengjun suddenly felt a sense of humble insignificance, and suddenly became disheartened, feeling that his countless years of hard work were meaningless. In the end, it's not a pile of dead bones. With this thought, Yao Chengjun's whole body became sluggish, and an indescribable dead air lingered on him. At this moment, a stream of light suddenly shot from the giant pupil, and the shape of the stream of light was a long knife. Emperor Treasure, Soul-Slashing Knife. After being refined by Yang Kai, the soul-slaying knife can be driven at will. Although Yang Kai's usual cultivation base cannot display the full power of the soul-slashing knife, but at this moment, Yang Kai's cultivation base in the demonized state is not inferior to the 3rd level of Emperor Senior. Zhan Hundao's blow is terrifyingly powerful. What's more, in order to kill Yao Chengjun in a short time, Yang Kai also used the secret technique of breaking the sky. The sky-breaking strike is a secret art of the soul, which he learned from Tian Yan in the world of the Immortal Mirror. When he is free, he can use the soul-warming sacrifice to refine the soul-slaying knife. One hit can exert a very strong explosive power. However, it is only limited to the first hit. Even if Yao Chengjun is intact, he may not be able to take over the Emperor's treasure with the secret technique, let alone his traumatized soul. This knife slashed fiercely into Yao Chengjun's sea of AA consciousness, tearing a huge hole in his sea of AA consciousness with a destructive force. Yao Chengjun's sea of AA consciousness was already badly injured, but being hit by Yang Kai at this moment made it even worse, and the sea of AA consciousness of Emperor Senior's 3rd order realm was faintly showing signs of collapse. Severe pain came, and Yao Chengjun recovered from the despair. He cried out in pain, and a 5-color spear suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand. The spear shone brightly, emitting the energy fluctuations of the Emperor treasure. The power is terrifying. It is not surprising that Yao Chengjun has an Emperor treasure at the 3rd level of cultivation, but it would be strange if he does not have one. When he cried out in pain, he frantically poured Emperor Yuan into the 5-colored spear. The spear hummed continuously, then suddenly trembled slightly in his hand and disappeared. The next moment, the giant pupil that stretched between the sky and the earth was pierced by the spear, and the darkness that blocked the sky and the earth was suddenly shattered. Under Yao Changjun's besieged beasts, he erupted with terrifying power and broke through the secret art of darkness and boundlessness. This secret art was unique to the ancient troll clan, and it was not obtained by Yongkai's cultivation. It can only be deployed when it is transformed. That sky was torn apart by the five-colored spear, and a crack was not healed for a long time. "Boy, you dare to hurt me, I want you to die." Yao Changjun roared loudly, but the sea of AA consciousness was about to collapse, his whole body was trembling, his face twitched, and his body was extremely unstable. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2364 Devouring Heaven and Earth. Yongkai's right eye was filled with blood, and everything he looked at turned into a golden color, which was the trauma caused by his pupil technique being broken. He just wiped it casually, then snorted coldly, "Send you on your way." Between the opening and closing of the hands, a huge and unparalleled moon blade leisurely took shape, and with a slight shock, it blasted towards Yao Changjun. The moon blade was like the scythe of death, and everything it passed was destroyed. Yao Changjun, who was in a state of madness, instinctively sensed the approaching dangerous aura, endured the piercing pain, and with a move in his hand, the five-color spear reappeared in the palm of his hand. He took a step forward, picking and sending, and the five-color mysterious light it shot out instantly. Boom boom boom, Shuangguang and Moonblade collided together, and the violent energy impact changed the color of the world, and the small island of Xincheng with a radius of several miles suddenly shattered and quickly disintegrated. The Moonblade disappeared, and behind the five-colored mysterious light, Yao Changjun took advantage of the situation with a crazy expression on his face, full of engraved hatred and the consciousness of dying and rebirth. Yongkai raised his eyebrows and shouted angrily, "It is better to die obediently than to resist." He also didn't expect Yao Changjun to be so tenacious when his sea of AA consciousness collapsed. It seems that he still underestimated the ability of Emperor Zun's third-level realm. If Yao Changjun is really intact, even if he undoes the seal of the demonic energy, I am afraid it is not an opponent. None of the strong men who have cultivated to this level is simple. Here comes the axe. Yongkai stretched out his hand to grab it in the void, and a pitch-black battle axe suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand. Demon Soldier Battle Axe. This demon soldier was originally the weapon of the ancient troll, and it had been sealed under the 18 springs outside Fenggalan City, filled with extremely terrifying magic power. After being collected by Yongkai, it was thrown into the mysterious small world and handed over to the Dharma body for refinement. Even better than Yongkai, he did not dare to covet it, lest its magic power would trigger the seal in his body. But at this moment, it is an excellent time to use it. Starting with the battle axe, Yongkai felt a strange feeling in his whole body. This magic soldier battle axe seemed to come alive. After being held in his hand, it clearly conveyed the fluctuations of excitement and joy, and formed a perfect resonance with the magic energy in his body, allowing Yongkai to use it like an arm without refining. Refer to. With the battle axe in his hand, Yongkai seemed to have seen the scene where the ancient troll was fighting against the ancient power with his own strength. The scene was full of flesh and blood, the sky and the earth collapsed, and one after another, the ancient power with superior strength died on the ground. Under the battle axe, his body died and his Tao disappeared. That ancient troll stood upright, full of murderous aura, looking around the world. I was the only one. Yongkai's originally agitated state of mind was inexplicably calmed down by the influence of the demonic energy, and for a while, he had a state of arrogance and self-importance. Yao Changjun, who was rushing towards him aggressively, was also as ridiculous as an ant. He stared at the other party contemptuously, slowly raised the battle axe in his hand, and an inexplicable law of heaven and earth jumped up. Yao Changjun's expression changed suddenly, and his face was bloodless. He didn't know what happened to Yongkai at all, he only saw him suddenly take out a treasure in the shape of a battle axe, and then his demeanor and temperament changed. In the dark, he seemed to see an unattainable mountain lying in front of him. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't see the scenery behind the mountain. He panicked all of a sudden. He wanted to retreat, but he had no choice but to shoot the arrow, and his whole body's energy was already violent. If he retreated at this time, without Yongkai's shot, his Tao heart would collapse in an instant. A faint murderous intent lingered on him, and as he approached, the murderous intent became stronger and clearer, almost turning into substance, cutting his skin with pain. Will die. Will definitely die. This idea popped up in Yao Chengjun's mind inexplicably, and his mind was in turmoil. The sea of AA consciousness that was already on the verge of collapse could no longer be maintained, and suddenly dispersed. Ah! Yao Chengjun yelled frantically, even if you die, I will hold you back. After saying that, he poured all his strength into the 5-color spear, his body was wrapped in 5-color light, and his momentum was like a rainbow. He completely lost the previous hesitation, and instead became decisive. With this blow, his peak strength unexpectedly exploded, and Yao Chengjun's muddy eyes, which were originally flustered, also burst into dazzling light at this moment. Yang Kai had no expression on his face, and chopped down with an axe. The frenzied murderous intent condensed the axe intent, and suddenly rolled towards Yao Chengjun. There was a loud noise, and above the nameless sea, a group of jet-black rays of light erupted, as if to devour the world. At the same time, another group of 5-color rays of light also bloomed at the same time, fighting against the dark light. 2 different colors of light confront each other and collide, and the sea is suddenly turbulent. The collapsed island is suddenly shattered into dust and disappears without a trace. The nearby dragon-absorbing water is also impacted by the huge aftermath and collapses open. Within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, a tsunami surged, and countless fish monsters living on the sea turned into white light and disappeared. And at the very center of the energy collision, a crater with a depth of several hundred feet appeared on the sea surface, and the seawater in that crater seemed to be evaporated in an instant. The stalemate lasted no more than 10 breaths of time, and the pitch-black light suddenly burst out, swallowing up the colorful rays of light. Why, thieves, the old man refuses to accept. A roar resounded through the sky, and soon the dust settled. The darkness and 5-color light that filled the sky and the earth disappeared, and the huge pits on the sea surface were gradually filled again by the seawater that poured in. Only the remaining energy fluctuations between the sky and the earth showed that this place passed through a storm just now. Shocking battle of ghosts and gods. Yao Chengjun disappeared, and Yang Kai also disappeared, only a round bead the size of a longan slowly sinking into the depths of the sea. In mysterious small boundary, Yang Kai rushed to the vicinity of the medicine garden immediately. His whole body was as black as ink, and the indescribable magic lines almost transformed his whole body. Lu Yan rushed over at the same time, and after taking a look at Yang Kai's situation, he immediately ran away in fright. It's not that she doesn't dare to stay here, it's just that she can't stay here. Although Yang Kai can still barely preserve a trace of intellect, who knows how long this intellect will last? She will only cause trouble for Yang Kai if she stays here. Beside the medicine garden, Yang Kai sat cross-legged with strong support, and with a slight movement of his mind, he began to peel off the power of the gold and silver seal on the green tree. After he was demonized last time, he used the sealing power of the Kangshu to seal the magic energy. It has been more than 2 years since the last time. Logically speaking, the sealing power of the Kangshu is impossible. Grow so fast. But there are countless heavy soils under the medicine garden, and there are 5 earth vein beads. Growing here for 1 year is equivalent to growing for 100 years outside. In other words, the Kangshu now has 200 years of sealing power, which should be enough to seal the demonic energy. Under Yang Kai's mobilization, the gold and silver power was slowly stripped from the Kang tree, and then transferred to Yang Kai's body, immersed in the dantian, suppressing and sealing the violent devil energy. At any rate, I have had experience once, so this time Yang Kai is also familiar with it. As time passed, more and more demon energy was sealed. Yang Kai also slowly got rid of the influence of being demonized, and gradually recovered his sanity. 3 days later, as the last trace of sealing power was drawn into the body, the devilish energy was finally sealed without a trace left. Yang Kai let out a long breath. He was really afraid that something might go wrong in this stage of the seal, and the power gained from breaking the seal this time was undoubtedly much stronger than the previous one. Fortunately, Kangshu's sealing power has also become stronger, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. After solving the hidden danger of devil energy, Yang Kai began to check his injuries. In the battle with Yao Chengjun, it seemed that he took the absolute initiative, and even eliminated him with a few moves after being demonized, but Yao Chengjun's counterattack before death still caused him a lot of damage. The other party was at the 3rd level of Emperor Senior. If the sea of AA consciousness hadn't been broken by him, how could he be killed so easily? I don't know how many bones are broken all over the body, the blood on the body surface has dried up at this moment, like a layer of blood on the skin. What makes Yang Kai feel the most sad is that his meridians are a little damaged. Fortunately, there is an immortal tree here in the medicine garden. In terms of healing power, even the double lotus is not as effective as the immortal tree. What's more, his own recovery ability is extremely powerful, and he does not need other medicines. Half a day later, Yang Kai came alive again, shook off the bloody clothes on his body, and changed into a new set of clothes. Thinking back to the battle with Yao Changjun, Yang Kai couldn't help feeling a little anxious. This time, Yao Changjun can be killed with the help of demon energy, but what about next time? If the seal is unlocked next time, it will not be able to seal with the power of 200 years of sealing. It may take 300 years, 400 years, or even more. In other words, the Kangshu would have to grow in the medicine garden for 3 or 4 years to have enough sealing power for Yang Kai to break the seal. For such a long time, God knows if he will encounter a powerful enemy. If only there was Tai Shenshui. Tai divine water is a creation of heaven and earth. It can quickly ripen all kinds of spiritual things without any sequelae. A drop of Tai divine water can definitely give Kangshu the power of sealing for hundreds of thousands of years. It's a pity that Tai Shenshui is too precious, and Yang Kai only saw it once, in the Temple of Time, and was finally obtained by Mirong Xiao. That was left over from Emperor Sui Yu, and I don't know if there is any Tai divine water in the star realm. Yang Kai secretly made up his mind that in the next 3 or 4 years, he would never be able to undo the magic energy seal again, unless he found the Tai divine water to ripen the Kangshu in advance. Thinking of this, his thoughts suddenly became clear, and his whole body was refreshed. He transplanted the 2 Budian lotus plants he had obtained successively into the medicine garden, and then he clapped his hands and stood up. Although the pure white butterfly lotus has been picked by Lu Shanyan for a long time, but because it is well preserved, the efficacy of the medicine has not faded, and the roots have not been damaged. It is planted in the medicine garden, and it is covered with the vitality of the old tree, will definitely come alive again. Bingdi Shuanglian is of great value. Yang Kai still can't use it now, so naturally he is too lazy to refine Bingbing Heaven Pill. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at AC plus or minus a degree of diaresis T. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2365 Weird Aura. After dealing with these, Yang Kai let go of his spiritual mind, and the next moment, he appeared in front of Dharma Body, Lu Yan and others in a swaying figure. Master, are you safe? Lu Yan asked happily when he saw Yang Kai appear. A few days ago, she noticed that Yang Kai entered mysterious Shaoji and went to check on Yang Kai's situation, but she didn't want to see Yang Kai being surrounded by demon energy, so she has been worried these days. Even Dharma Body and Watching See are worried. Seeing Yang Kai's vigor at this moment, how could he not know that he had already solved the problem of demonic energy? Well, it's resurrected. Yang Kai grinned. Watching See said seriously, are you sure there are no sequelae? Don't be careless. Don't worry, Sister Hua. While Yang Kai was speaking, he suddenly reached out and took out something from his space ring, handed it to Watching See and said, this is for you. Watching See took it suspiciously, then her pretty face changed color, and she lost her voice, Dabao. What Yang Kai gave her was the 5-color spear that Yao Changjun used before. After the decisive battle, Yang Kai snatched the Emperor treasure and Yao Changjun's ring before entering mysterious Shaoji. Lu Yan already has Nirvana Thunder Bead, and Watching See has always been loyal to Yang Kai, so the 5-color spear can naturally be handed over to her. Although the power of the Emperor treasure is great, the most important thing for a warrior is his own foundation. Sister Hua, don't just chase after the end. Yang Kai said lightly. Watching See was playing with the 5-color spear, with an expression that she couldn't put it down. She nodded and said angrily, I know, do you still need you to teach me? Yang Kai smiled, touched his nose. Yang Kai hadn't had time to check Yao Changjun's space ring, but now he took it out and found that there are quite a lot of good things in the ring. There are hundreds of millions of source crystals alone, and more than half of them are upper-middle source crystals. Yao Changjun, as an Emperor Senior Realm powerhouse, was able to have so much wealth, which fell beyond Yang Kai's expectations. How could he be a poor ghost with his cultivation level at any rate? Except source crystal, there are also a large number of panacea herbs, and there are many secret treasures, but none of them are Emperor treasures. After a little inspection, Yang Kai suddenly remembered something, and asked in surprise, "Where is Lu Shanyan?" Lu Shanyan was in a coma before, and Yang Kai accidentally injured her when he was fighting with Yao Changjun, so he threw her into mysterious Shaoji, but at this moment, she was nowhere to be seen. Lu Yan said, "I put her in the attic, she is already awake. But she seems very confused about her situation. What didn't you explain to her?" "No." Lu Yan shook his head, let alone explaining, Lu Shanyan hadn't even seen her face to face. "I'll go and have a look." Yang Kai disappeared in place as he spoke. In the attic, Lu Shanyan had a dignified expression, and her beautiful eyes were full of bewilderment. When she woke up earlier, she found herself in this attic, and she didn't know where it was. "I checked around and found that there was no danger nearby. There is no sign of anyone, but the aura of the world here is so strong that it is ridiculous. Lu Shanyan has never seen a place where the aura can be compared with this place. Such a rich aura is definitely a holy place for cultivation. She doesn't even need to practice the exercises, and the aura of the surrounding world will flow towards her continuously. Drill into the body. If you can practice here for a long time, I'm afraid it won't take long for her to break through her shackles and advance to the second level of Daoyuan." But she wanted to figure out where she was, so she didn't have the heart to practice, and what made her most uneasy. Yang Kai also disappeared. After a few days of searching, she even wondered if she had been abandoned. At this time, she was sadly staying in the attic, thinking about what to do in the future, when a figure flashed in front of her, and Yang Kai appeared so strangely. "Senior brother." Lu Shanyan rushed towards him as if he had found the backbone when he saw Yang Kai, and the anxious expression on his face could not help but relax a lot. Yang Kai smiled slightly and said, "Something happened, and it has been delayed for a few days. Senior brother is fine." Lu Shanyan looked Yang Kai up and down for a while, and found that he was full of air, so he was relieved and asked, "Senior brother, do you know where this place is? We were not caught by that huge vortex earlier. Was it devoured?" Her memory was still stuck in the misfortune of Jiksu Ridge, recalling the irresistible power of the vortex, her pretty face turned pale. "It was swallowed, and then we fell onto a sea." The sea? Lu Shanyan was even more at a loss. She also checked the surrounding situation in the past few days, but she didn't find any sea at all. On the contrary, the environment here is very pleasant, and there are many buildings. People lived here. It would be a good place to live here with senior brother. Yang Kai scratched his head and didn't know how to explain the current situation to Lu Shanyan, so he could only say, "I'll take you to see it." While speaking, Yang Kai had a thought, and led Lu Shanyan out of the mysterious boundary pearl. As soon as the two of them appeared, they felt a stench coming from all around them, and then, a strange sound came from all directions, and even the sound of the beating heart. With a sweep of Yang Kai's spiritual sense, he knew his current situation. In order to seal the demonic energy in the mysterious small world, he ignored the direction of the mysterious realm pearl and let it fall into the depths of the sea. Fish belly. It seems that this big fish devoured the mysterious boundary orb, and then took them for a swim, but they didn't know where they swam. Knowing this, Yang Kai circulated his strength, and the golden blood thread flew out. After a flurry of dancing, he directly opened a hole on the back of the big fish, and jumped up with Lu Shanyan. Although this big fish has a good size, it is not a powerful monster. After being tossed by Yang Kai, it is naturally painful, and it keeps rolling in the sea, and the blood is filled. Judging by its appearance, it probably won't survive. And the next moment, Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan rushed out of the sea. Yang Kai sacrificed the wooden boat immediately, and pulled Lu Shanyan to stand up. A faint fishy wind rushed from the sea, and the surrounding scenery was blue and blue. As far as the eye can see, countless dragons absorb water and cover the surroundings, and the power of devouring comes from everywhere, which looks extremely dangerous. Lu Shanyan was stunned. She hadn't figured out where she was before, and now she was suddenly on the sea again, which really made her a little at a loss. After we were swallowed by that vortex, we came here. Yang Kai raised his eyes and scanned the surrounding area, but he didn't find any trace of land, so he was a little disappointed. "Where is this?" Lu Shanyan asked in surprise. Listen to what Yao Changjun and Pang Guang said. "This place seems to be some secret realm of emptiness." Yang Kai frowned. "Secret realm of silence?" Lu Shanyan looked blank, as if he had never heard of it. She has only been in Gaocheng for a few years, and she still doesn't understand some of the secrets of this place, so she has never heard of the secret realm of solitude. "Yao Changjun and Pang Guang are here too?" Lu Shanyan was startled again, belatedly asked. Don't worry, they don't know where they went. Yang Kai said casually, and didn't tell Lu Shanyan that Yao Changjun was dead. After all, this matter was bizarre. But Pang Guang did leave. Then what do we do now? Since it's here, let's settle down. Yang Kai sighed, said, first find out if there are other people living here, find out the information here, and then find out. Well, it's good for senior brother to be the master. Lu Shanyan had no idea at all and could only pin her hopes on Yang Kai. At the moment, Yang Kai made the wooden boat fly in a certain direction. Above the sea, boundless as far as the eye can see, there is no end in sight, and Yang Kai can't tell the difference between southeast and northwest, so he can only look for one direction and keep flying, hoping to find something. But the dragons that are everywhere on the sea absorb water. But it caused him a big hindrance. The water-absorbing dragons are full of strong strangulation and devouring power. If they really fall into it, even the Tao origin realm may not be able to escape safely. In order to get rid of the devouring power of these dragons absorbing water, Yang Kai consumed a lot of strength. After a full day, the two still found nothing, as if the sea had no end at all. Calm as Yang Kai also felt a little uneasy. If they couldn't find a place to stay, would the two of them have to fly like this forever? If he does this, he will die sooner or later. Although he has the mysterious small world to avoid danger and recuperate, if he can't find it, he will be trapped here for the rest of his life. Junior sister, come and control the direction, I'll recover for a while. Yang Kai greeted Lu Shanyan, and handed over the control of the wooden boat to her. Okay, Lu Shanyan had long wanted to relieve Yang Kai's worries and problems, so hearing what he said now, it was naturally his duty to do so. Be careful of those dragons absorbing water. If you encounter a big one, you would rather go around than force it. That thing is very dangerous. Yang Kai warned, then sat down cross-legged, throwing a few recovery elixirs into his mouth, while silently Yunzan Gong. The aura of heaven and earth in this Jixu secret territory is extremely rich, although it is not as good as his mysterious small world, but it is not bad compared to the practice holy lands of ordinary sects. Yang Kai originally thought that with the addition of a spirit pill, he would recover soon. But as time passed, he sensed that something was wrong. The aura absorbed into the body from the heaven and the earth seems to be mixed with another inexplicable thing. When this thing enters the body, it is like a sharp needle, constantly stimulating the meridians and flesh and blood, causing pain unbearable. The more you practice, the more you inhale this thing. Half an hour later, Yang Kai spat out a mouthful of blood, his face so ugly. Senior brother, what's the matter? Lu Shanyan's face changed drastically. Yang Kai was clearly recovering his source power. Why did he spit blood all at once, as if he had suffered a serious injury? There are no enemies around here. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth here is weird, it cannot be absorbed. The more it is absorbed, the more accidents will happen. Yang Kai gritted his teeth and wiped the corner of his mouth. Chapter 2366 Sea Ship. How could this be? Lu Shanyan asked in surprise. I don't know. Yang Kai was also confused, shaking his head and said, there is something wrong with this secret realm. He has practiced so far, but he has never come across a heaven and earth aura that cannot be absorbed. The heaven and earth aura in this lonely void is mixed with some inexplicable things. The more he absorbs, the greater the damage to the warrior's foundation. It will shatter the meridians and lose all cultivation. Fortunately, Yang Kai stopped after only practicing for half an hour. Then what should I do? Lu Shanyan was completely panicked. If the aura of heaven and earth here cannot be absorbed, then she and Yang Kai will be exhausted sooner or later. Not to mention finding a way out, it is very likely that they will not even be able to leave this sea. In the end, he could only die from exhaustion. This situation is like a table of delicacies from mountains and seas is placed in front of a hungry person. Although it looks beautiful, it is very poisonous. If you eat it, you will be poisoned to death, and if you don't eat it, you will starve to death. It's okay, I have a solution. Yang Kai didn't panic. He took out the mysterious boundary orb and handed it to Lu Shanyan, saying, you take this thing, I will go to the recovery meeting. While speaking, he had entered into the mysterious small world. Before Lu Shanyan could say anything more, Yang Kai disappeared. She stared blankly at the mysterious boundary orb in her hand, then recalled the attic where she lived before in the peaceful and pleasant world. Lu Shanyan vaguely realized something, couldn't help but her pretty face changed, she was extremely shocked. After a while, she hastily put away the mysterious boundary bead and hid it carefully, then concentrated on controlling the wooden boat, avoiding those dragons to absorb water, and kept moving forward. An hour later, Yang Kai reappeared, no weaker than before. At this moment, his complexion was rosy, and he had obviously recovered. Lu Shanyan didn't say much, just nodded at him lightly, and returned the mysterious boundary pearl to him. She was able to cultivate to the 3rd level of the Void King in the Great Wilderness Starfield, and achieve the prestige of an overlord. She is obviously a smart person, so she naturally knows what to ask and what not to ask. Yang Kai was able to entrust the mysterious boundary orb to her for safekeeping, no doubt he had great trust in her. As for the mystery of this mysterious boundary orb, she just knew it well. The days passed. Every 2 or 3 days, Yang Kai would enter the mysterious small world to recover, and then control the wooden boat after recovering. During this period, Lu Shanyan was also at a loss of strength, and also entered mysterious Shaoji twice, but she was also well behaved, she came in and out, and never asked anything. A month passed in the blink of an eye, but Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan were always above the sea, without any sign of land. This sea seems to be really endless, without end. No matter how resolute Yang Kai is, he can't help being a little impatient at the moment. On this day, when Yang Kai returned from the mysterious small world, Lu Shanyan's voice of surprise came over. "Brother, we seem to have discovered something." "What?" Yang Kai was overjoyed when he heard the words, and hurriedly asked. Lu Shanyan pointed to the front and said, "Look, the density of this dragon's water absorption has decreased a lot, and the further you go, the less it is." Yang Kai took a closer look and found that, as she said, the amount of water absorbed by the dragons that were flooding the sea had decreased a lot. This discovery made Yang Kai's eyes light up. Although there is no sign of land yet, at least the surrounding scenery has finally changed. Yang Kai was still wondering if he was lost, or if he was going around in circles in a certain place, but now it seems that he is not lost, nor is he going around in circles, but that the sea is really very big. This discovery made Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan's eyes brighten, and they spared no effort to drive the wooden boat forward. And as time went by, the surrounding dragons absorbed less and less water, and finally disappeared completely, which made Yang Kai firm in the direction of his flight. If he continued to move forward, there might be some unexpected gains. Another 3 days later, Yang Kai, who was envoying the wooden boat, suddenly changed his expression and moved his eyes to look in a certain direction. The next moment, he showed joy, patted Lu Shanyan on the shoulder and said, "Junior sister, there is a boat." Lu Shanyan was closing her eyes to rest her mind, and she didn't dare to meditate and cultivate casually in this ghost place, so she woke up when Yang Kai said this, stood up and looked in the direction Yang Kai pointed, and she saw there was a small black dot at that extreme distance. And that little black dot is obviously a big ship. Lu Shanyan couldn't help getting excited, turned to look at Yang Kai, and found that he was also beaming with joy. It has been more than a month since the two came to this ghostly place, and they have been wandering on the sea. At this moment, they finally saw a ship. The joy can't be described in words. If there is a boat, it means that there is someone, and someone can ask where this place is and where to go. Yang Kai quickly accelerated the speed of the wooden boat, and headed straight towards the big boat. As the distance drew closer, the appearance of the big ship gradually became clearer. This is a huge building ship, and it is also a good grade secret treasure, which shocked Yang Kai, because refining such a secret treasure building ship will definitely consume a lot of energy and financial resources, and it will not be expensive. Know how the warriors living in this ghost place do it. When the wooden boat flew over, the person in charge of the sentinel on the upper boat obviously noticed it, and before Yang Kai approached, there were more than a dozen people on the deck, and these dozens of people stood there scatteredly, staring in this direction. "Come over," seems to be extremely curious about Yang Kai's arrival, constantly pointing and whispering. Not long after, Yang Kai had arrived not far in front of the Lu Chuan. Looking around, he saw that a dozen people, no matter male or female, all had a strong aura, staring at him with a little vigilance. What surprised Yang Kai even more was that most of these dozen people were warriors of the Dao origin realm. In this ghost place, how do they maintain their cultivation? After all, the aura of heaven and earth here cannot be absorbed, and if one lives here for a long time, one's cultivation will definitely regress. Although each of these dozen or so people seems to be a little short of energy, obviously because they have not been able to cultivate well, they have indeed maintained their cultivation. Among the dozen or so people, the leader is a woman. This woman has a hot figure, her front is convex and her back is curled up. She is very attractive, but maybe it is because of hanging around here all the year round, so her skin is a little dark, but this does not hinder her beauty. Instead, it adds a kind of wildness. She stood there like a vigorous cheetah with extremely sharp eyes. Yang Kai didn't rush to board the boat, but rushed down and clasped his fists, saying, "Everyone is invited, I don't know where you are going, can you take it on the next journey?" The dozen or so people were indifferent, only the leading woman raised her head slightly and said indifferently, "Where are you from?" Yang Kai pointed in one direction and said, "Come over there, our ship was in distress, and only the two of us escaped." This is of course nonsense, it's just a newcomer, and Yang Kai doesn't want to expose his details. "Did you die?" The woman's face changed slightly, but she didn't ask too much, she just sighed slightly, as if it was a common occurrence in this sea. She nodded and said, "Can you two be in great trouble? It's luck not to die, I can let you board the boat, but you understand the rules, right?" The rules. Yang Kai felt a sudden, he came here for more than a month, this is the first group of people he met, how did he know what the rules are? When she was about to ask for advice, the woman frowned and said, "One person has 5,000 source crystals, two people is 10,000. Yes, yes. Yang Kai nodded quickly, thinking that this rule is to buy a boat ticket. This rule is acceptable, but to Yang Kai's surprise, the price of the ticket is too cheap, one person only needs 5,000 source crystals. As he spoke, he reached out and wiped the space ring, intending to take out the source crystal. Seeing his movements, the woman couldn't help frowning, and said, "You don't want to give me source crystal here, do you?" Yang Kai looked at her in amazement and said, "What's wrong?" When the woman heard this, her expression immediately became weird, she stared at Yang Kai and examined him constantly, not only her, but also the other warriors standing on the deck all looked playful. "What's the situation?" Yang Kai frowned slightly, puzzled in his heart, could it be that he wanted to give her source crystal here? What flaws can this reveal? Just when Yang Kai was suspicious, the woman took out a prohibition token, stretched out her hand and shook it forward, and the restriction light curtain covering the building boat immediately cracked a hole. She said lightly, "Come in first." "Thank you." Yang Kai suppressed the doubts in his heart, and the imperial envoy Mu Zhou rushed in. Stepping on the deck, both Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan exhaled involuntarily, this down-to-earth feeling is simply too wonderful. "Follow me." The woman beckoned and led the way ahead. Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan looked at each other and hurriedly followed. The warriors on the deck also voluntarily separated, allowing the two to pass by. Not long after walking, the woman suddenly asked, "How long have you been in distress on the Sea of a Lonely Void?" "So this is called Jixu Sea," Yang Kai remembered silently. As for the other party's question, he didn't even think about it, and replied, "It was just yesterday, fortunately I met you, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous, thank you very much for this girl's acceptance gone. My breath is stable now, and obviously I haven't consumed much source power. It's best to use the reason that I died yesterday to explain it." "Really?" The corner of the woman's mouth rose slightly, revealing an intriguing smile. Yang Kai frowned, wondering if this woman had noticed something. "It's just that I didn't show any flaws," and I looked at Lu Shanyan, both a little confused. While speaking, the woman brought Yang Kai to a side room, opened the room and walked in. Yang Kai looked around and found that although the area here is not big, the environment is not bad, it is better than a quiet one, and this wing room seems to have been blessed by some formation, and I don't know what magical effect it has. "Are we going to live here in the future?" Yang Kai asked. The woman glanced at him and said lightly, "You think too much." Yang Kai's face darkened, thinking that this woman is really strange, why did she bring herself here if she was not allowed to live? To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at AC plus or minus a degree a diaresis T. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2367 Pretending to be an old world. It's okay to live here, 1,000 source crystals per day. The woman continued. The corner of Yang Kai's mouth twitched, and said, "Didn't we pay the boat ticket?" Although he has no shortage of source crystals now, he still disagrees with the woman's behavior. She even charges for a room. The boat ticket is the boat ticket, and the room fee is the room fee. Can't you live in a free room? What's the difference? Yang Kai couldn't figure it out, why the rooms on this ship are divided into charged and non-charged rooms. The room in front of me doesn't look very good, so why charge? The woman said, "There is a special spiritual purification array arranged in this wing, which can purify the transformation power of the secret realm of solitude. Although the grade is not very high, it can still be used for cultivation." "Can it be used for cultivation?" Yang Kai was heartbroken, and finally understood why the warriors on this ship could maintain their cultivation. It turned out that it was because of the spirit purification formation. He had practiced in this world once before, so he naturally knew what kind of harm the mysterious power that filled the heaven and earth would cause warriors if it entered the body. It turns out that the mysterious power is called transformation, strength. The woman's short sentence made Yang Kai understand many things. In this way, it is understandable to charge for this room. The spiritual purification array arranged in the room purifies the strange energy, so the warriors in this room can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth unscrupulously. But Yang Kai quickly discovered something was wrong, because the spiritual energy of the world in this room was extremely thin, far from being comparable to the spiritual energy outside. It seems that this spiritual purification array is not omnipotent. While purifying the transformation power, it also hinders the inflow of heaven and earth spiritual energy. Cultivating in such an environment, although you will not suffer from the transformation of power, it is impossible to maintain your cultivation. You can only slow down the speed of the regression of your cultivation, unless there is another way to restore the source power, such as source crystal what. No wonder all the fighters on the boat are short of breath, even though they have Daoyuan realm. According to Yang Kai's observation, they can't exert their due strength at all. Do you want to live or not? The woman asked impatiently, seeing Yang Kai wandering off. Live, of course. Yang Kai nodded quickly. Even though the spirit purification formation is not high grade and the room is not very good, it can still purify the energy, which is better than nothing. Anyway, he has no shortage of source crystals. After killing Yao Changjun, the source crystals harvested in his ring amounted to hundreds of millions. Pay it for 1 month first, then more will be refunded and less will be paid. The woman stretched out her hand towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai didn't have any objections, and directly took out 40,000 source crystals and handed them to the woman. The woman put the source crystal into the space ring at a very fast speed, and said, "Don't run around if you have nothing to do. We have a mission to come out this time, and we will bring you back to Tongtian Island when the mission is completed." Yang Kai nodded and said, "We know." The woman then turned around and walked out. When she reached the door, she suddenly stopped, turned to look at Yang Kai, and said, "Are you curious? Why should I bring you into this room to collect the source crystal?" Yang Kai was startled, not understanding what she meant by asking this. The woman snorted and didn't continue talking, but reached out to Yang Kai and said, "Give me another source crystal, and I will tell you why." Yang Kai had blue veins on his forehead, and felt that this woman was really a money fanatic, and she had to collect yuan jing for everything she did. He calmly took out a source crystal and threw it towards the woman. The woman took it casually, then showed a sarcasm smile, and said, "You look after it." While speaking, she threw the source crystal directly out of the room. With a ding-dong sound, the source crystal landed on the aisle. What made Yang Kai's face change? This source crystal melted at an extremely fast speed, and within 10 breaths of time, a whole piece of low-grade source crystal disappeared without a trace, turning into spiritual energy and disappearing without a trace. The woman snorted coldly, and said, "It's just a newcomer, it's just a newcomer, what kind of old world are you pretending to be?" After finishing speaking, she walked out directly and closed the door behind her. Yang Kai blushed, knowing that she had seen through her lie. It should be outside just now. When he wanted to take the source crystal to the other party knew that he was not from this world, otherwise how could he not even use this common sense? Don't understand. Brother. Lu Shanyan's pretty face also changed slightly. That source crystal. Yang Kai said sadly, "The source crystal probably cannot be exposed outside the spiritual purification formation, otherwise it will disappear very quickly." The woman asked him for the last source crystal, obviously to test it for him. "So they know we're only here?" Yang Kai smiled and said, "I must know, but it doesn't matter. Although the woman's personality is a little cold, she is not a bad person. Let's rest first, and then go back to Tongtian Island with them, and then find out the way to leave here." Quote. "Oh." Lu Shanyan nodded, found a place in the room and sat down cross-legged. On the deck, after the woman came out, 2 men sprang out beside her, surrounding her from left to right. There is a huge scar on the forehead of the man on the left, stretching from the cheekbone to the corner of the mouth, which looks hideous and terrifying. The man on the right has a big arm and a round waist, with a fierce breath. "Sister Ling, those 2 people have stayed?" The man on the left asked softly, His eyes flickering, exuding a dangerous light, he couldn't help sticking out his tongue and licking the corner of his mouth when he asked this, as if it's like a delicious big meal. Ling Yinshan nodded lightly, glanced at this person, and said coldly, "What are you doing asking about this?" The man on the right smiled and said, "Sister Ling, why bother to ask questions knowingly? The man and the woman seem to have just arrived in the secret realm of solitude, and they probably got here by accident. There are many good things about newcomers." The man on the left also nodded and said, "Yes, Sister Ling, I only have dozens of source crystals left. If I don't get some source crystals, my cultivation will go backwards. You also know the situation on Tongtian Island. What's going on? Two fat sheep came here suddenly. Hee, brothers can't help it. Is this what you two mean, or everyone?" Ling Yinshan paused and asked in a deep voice. The man on the left scratched his head, and said, "Although they didn't say anything, they must have this idea. As long as you give the order, Sister Ling, we will rush over and capture them now." "Fart!" Ling Yinshan yelled angrily, sprayed the saliva on the scarred man's face, and said fiercely, "Put away the greed in your hearts for me, and don't cause me trouble." The man with the scar wiped his old face in embarrassment, and said in mourning, "Sister Ling, if you have something to say, don't spray me." Ling Yinshan snorted coldly and said, "How about I throw you into the sea to calm down?" The man with the scar was startled, and quickly waved his hand and said, "I don't want this one." Ling Yinshan took a deep breath and said, "That man is not easy to provoke. Since you know that they are newcomers, you should also know that everyone who just came here is not easy to provoke. Unlike us, they have lived here for a long time. The cultivation base is a bit backward, and it is impossible to display the full strength. That man has a cultivation base of the 3rd level of Daoyuan, who is his opponent on this boat. If we really want to fight him, we will die a few times at the very least. Personally, would you like to see something like this happen?" The two men looked at each other, calmed down a lot, and shook their heads slowly. Ling Yinshan said, "The first rule of survival in the secret realm of the Lonely Void, don't engage in unnecessary fights. You have to keep this in mind, the source power that is consumed is not so easy to replenish." Yes. The two men seemed to be extremely docile to Ling Yinshan, and they responded positively to what she said. "What's more, we still have a mission for this trip. Don't worry, after completing the mission, everyone will get the source crystal and cultivation resources." Ling Yinshan retreated the space ring in her hand while speaking, handed it to the man with the scar and said, "Just now, you took 40,000 source crystals from that man, and you can share 1 point with everyone, and each person can also share a lot." 40,000. The two men were overjoyed when they heard the words, as if 40,000 source crystals were an astonishing fortune to them. It is unimaginable to put this kind of thing on the outside, and any martial artist in the Daoyuan realm would probably not pay attention to 40,000 low-grade source crystals, but in this lonely and secret realm, source crystals are rare. Martial artists live here all year round, so they naturally need to consume source crystals, but there is no source crystal mine here, and it will be impossible to make ends meet if things go on like this. Only some warriors who are in trouble here will bring source crystals. But there are not many warriors who fall here every year, and the amount of source crystals they bring is even more uncertain. How can there be enough for hundreds of thousands of people in Tongtian City? These 40,000 source crystals are really a huge sum of money for the warriors on board. But Ling Yinshan took them all out without hesitation and distributed them to everyone, which is why she, a woman, was able to subdue the entire boat and make them obey her orders. Ling Yinshan never hides anything private. This kind of character is enough to be respected and loved by everyone. "Tell my brothers, don't think about those two people, and don't reveal their origins after returning to Tongtianchang. If you want source crystals, you can get them from them in a proper way. This mission will cost a lot of time. If you use the right method, you may not be able to get some source crystals." Ling Yinshan reminded again worriedly, she knows best what kind of people are under her command. "Understood, Sister Ling." The two were overjoyed when they heard the words, and after looking at each other, they rushed towards the cabin. Not long after, the scarred man returned the ring to Ling Yinshan, and said, "Sister Ling, I left you 10,000 source crystals, and everyone will share the rest equally. Reward." Ling Yinshan snorted, "I'm thankful for not causing trouble for me." No, absolutely not." The man with the scar replied solemnly. Chapter 2368 Precious Source Crystal. Yang Kai sat in the room for a while before there was a knock on the door. Lu Shanyan glanced at him and opened the door after receiving his signal. The man with the scar that he had seen on the deck before appeared outside the door with a flattering smile on his face, nodded and bowed to Lu Shanyan and said, "Hello, two guests, I took the liberty to visit, did you not disturb the two Qingshou?" Lu Shanyan said, "What's the matter?" The man with the scar laughed and said, "The elder sister told the younger one to see if the two guests have any needs. If there is any need, just ask, and we will try our best to meet it." Lu Shanyan looked blank, wondering why this guy was so considerate. The so-called courteousness for nothing, rape or stealing, this made her a little vigilant. After all, she and Yang Kai were newcomers, and they didn't even know the specific situation here, so naturally they had to be more careful. The scarred man said again, "This is some food prepared by the brothers for the two of you. There is nothing to entertain on board. Please don't hold it against you." Only then did Lu Shanyan notice that he was holding a tray with 2 stacks of side dishes and a jug on it. The side dishes didn't look like animal meat, they looked weird, but they smelled tangy. Could it be that he wanted to poison him? Lu Shanyan's expression suddenly became weird, and he deliberately refused, but he took the initiative to send it over, so it seemed a bit bad to refuse him, so he could only look back at Yang Kai and ask for his opinion. "Come in and talk." Yang Kai didn't care about it. Hearing this, the man with the scar suddenly showed joy, and said, "I'm sorry for bothering you." Only then did Lu Shanyan step aside and let the man with the scar enter the room. The latter put the tray on the table and looked at Yang Kai earnestly, the flattering smile on his face never disappeared. Yang Kai smiled and said, "Is this food charged or free?" The man with the scar laughed, scratched his head and said, "This is a little favor from the brothers for the two of you. Naturally, there is no charge, but, hee, you understand my friend." Lu Shanyan snorted softly, showing displeasure, thinking that everyone on this boat was a money fanatic, and they were ashamed to charge for these 2 dishes of unknown origin and a jug of old wine that looked inferior. Put it outside and give it to her to eat, and she didn't bother to take a look. Yang Kai thought thoughtfully, "It's hard to get source crystals here." The man with the scar suddenly looked bitter, and said, "My friend, if you have lived here for a long time, you will know that the source crystal is the most precious thing here. If not, how could he come to Yang Kai to get source crystal so cheekily? Can't you get source crystals here?" Lu Shenianhu questioned. The man with the scar said, "I can't get it, this secret void is full of chemical energy everywhere. Once a pure energy like source crystal is exposed to the chemical energy, it will be neutralized by the chemical energy, and then dissipate in this place in the secret territory. There is no source crystal mine at all in this ghost place, and it is precisely because of this reason that the aura of heaven and earth in the secret territory of Jixu is so strong." Lu Shanyan had also seen the scene where the source crystal disappeared quickly, so he naturally understood a lot after hearing what the man with the scar said. The disgust in my heart towards the warriors on this ship also subsided a little, and I understood why they all acted so richly obsessed. The scarred man sighed. The source crystals in the secret realm of Jixu were all brought in by warriors from outside. Don't try to find any of them in this secret realm. Yang Kai nodded. This is the same as he guessed. When he saw the source crystal disappear before, Yang Kai had some vague guesses. Now that the scar man explained it like this, he immediately understood that his guess was right. In this damn place, Yuanjing is really a precious thing. How to call it? Yang Kai asked. The scarred man hurriedly said, "Zhao Yi, the eldest sister calls me Lao Zhao, you two can call me whatever you want." "Brother Zhao, sit down, I have something to ask you." Yang Kai gestured, and at the same time took out a bag of source crystals from the space ring, put it on the table, and pushed it in front of him. Zhao Yi's eyes lit up immediately, as if a hungry ghost had seen the food. He dragged the bag in front of him, opened it, and was almost blinded by the source crystal's light, and kept putting it into the space ring, gladly said, "Friends, just ask, Lao Zhao, I can even tell you the color of the underwear." Bah! Lu Shanyan spat, blushing slightly. Yang Kai smiled slightly and said, "To be honest, my junior sister and I have just come to this place and know nothing about it, so." Zhao Yi said, "We have known this for a long time. Who in the secret realm of the lonely void would dare to take out the source crystal outside? Looking at your actions, friend, I know that you are not familiar with the rules here." What he was referring to was naturally what Yang Kai wanted to do with Ling Yinshan on the deck. Yang Kai also understands that he must have been exposed, so there is no need to hide it. Anyway, the other party wants the source crystal, so it is better to use the source crystal to open the way to find out some information. Zhao Yi sighed and said, "As long as you live here for a year or so, you will know the preciousness of source crystals. Let me advise you, no matter how many source crystals you have, you must save some, otherwise there will always be a day when I run out. I think back then, Lao Jiao and I had millions of source crystals on me, and I was considered a rich man, but now, hey. He looked distressed, as if he was regretting his extravagance back then. How long has Brother Jiao been here? These words seemed to ask about Zhao Yi's sadness. He picked up the low-quality old wine, poured himself a glass, drank it down, and then wiped his mouth and said, I haven't calculated it carefully, but it should be there in 6 or 70 years. 60 or 70 years. Lu Shanyan's pretty face changed instantly. Zhao Yi glanced at her and said, what is this? Someone has been trapped here for hundreds or even thousands of years. There is no way out here. Lu Shanyan asked. Zhao Yi frowned and said, I don't know about this, maybe there is, maybe not. Lao Jiao, my strength is low, but even if there is a way out, it is not so easy to get out, otherwise, those old monsters in Tongtian City would have left long ago. How can you stay here and suffer? Yang Kai Dao. Brother Jiao also came in from Jixu Ridge. Jixu Ridge. Zhao Yi was at a loss when he heard the words. After thinking for a while, he suddenly realized, oh, you mean the Jixu Ridge at the junction of the southern and eastern territories. I came from a place at the junction of the western and northern territories, from somewhere. There are many places leading to this place. Well, it seems to be the case, because the people living on Tongtian Island are all from the 4 major domains of the southeast, the north, and the west. Just the dozen or so people on this boat have entered 10 places. Why so many? Lu Shanyan asked in surprise. Zhao Yi spread his hands and said helplessly, I don't know either. Yang Kai said thoughtfully, the entrance to this secret realm of silence is either mobile, or there are many places. Brother Jiao, what is the situation of the Tongtian Island you mentioned earlier? Zhao Yi said, Tongtian Island is Tongtian Island. All warriors in the secret territory of Jixu live on Tongtian Island. The forces on the island are intertwined and complicated. If you go to Tongtian Island in the future, Lao Jiao, I advise you to find them quickly. Join a powerful force, otherwise it will be difficult to survive here, especially for newcomers. Many people are looking at newcomers, do you know why? Yuanjing, Lu Shanyan said in a deep voice. Zhao Yi nodded and said, that's right, when newcomers come here, they will more or less have source crystals on them. People make money and birds die for food. It's an eternal truth. Yang Kai asked, is there an Emperor Senior Realm powerhouse sitting on the island? Yes, there are more than one. Zhao Yi replied, there are about 3 or 5 of them, and the most powerful one is the master of Tongtian Island. I heard that he has several thousand people here. Years. Is the 3rd level of Emperor Zun trapped here? Lu Shanyan's pretty face turned pale, and she felt more and more hopeless to leave. Zhao Yi chuckled, and said, what's so strange about this? If you can't find a way out, you can't leave naturally. However, the island owner has been trapped for so many years. I heard that his cultivation has dropped drastically. Only those at the 2nd level of Emperor Zun the First don't know if it's true or not. He sighed, and then continued, but I think it's true, as long as I live here for a longer time, which Onia's cultivation will not decline. Lao Jiao, I was a Daoyuan 2 layer, so many years have passed, and there is only 1 layer of power. Yang Kai frowned and said, you don't have source crystals, how can you cultivate here? Zhao Yi said, let's use the jingling array. The grade of the jingling array in this room is not high, so the cultivation effect is not ideal. The higher the grade, the better the jingling array. When you arrive at Tongtianchang, I suggest you rent a high-grade. A cave with a high-grade jingling formation can slow down the speed of your cultivation as much as possible. Of course, in addition to the jingling formation, you can also take spirit pills, but the spirit pills are so expensive that there are not many on the island. Most of the alchemists have turned to the island owner, and the price of a panacea is more than 10 times more expensive than outside. Then how do you live? Lu Shanyan couldn't help feeling a little sympathetic to Zhao Yi. In this lonely and mysterious territory, the environment is so harsh, it's really not easy to survive. Zhao Yi smiled wryly and said, go out to sea to hunt sea beasts and find some other materials. The inner alchemy of sea beasts can usually be sold at a good price, but we came here to find something called blue-feathered coral. What's the use? Lu Shanyan asked. Zhao Yi said, this thing is the main material for refining the base of the spirit formation. If you want to live on Tongtian Island, the spirit formation is indispensable, so the blue feather coral has a great market. Speaking of this, Zhao Yi his expression changed, and he said, Are you too interested in joining the group? If you are interested, I will go and talk to the eldest sister, and she will definitely not refuse. As for the share, it is just like us, how much effort and how much things are divided. Quote. Both Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan are newcomers, and their strengths are still at their peak, especially Yang Kai, but Dao Yuan third layer, if he can be recruited into the group, this trip will definitely be rewarding. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update group at ch8296929 Dian Hanji. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2369 Ruoxi wants to break through. Chapter 2369 Ruoxi wants to break through. Zhao Yi tried his best to say, "We accidentally discovered the place where the blue-feathered coral was located 5 years ago, but at that time there was a sea beast guarding it, and we have not been able to succeed." But according to the elder sister's observation, the remaining lifespan of the sea beast it's almost gone, after 5 years, it must have died. In other words, that piece of blue-feathered coral can be mined at will. After this trip, we won't have to go to sea for at least a year. Yang Kai slowly shook his head and said, "My junior sister and I will not participate in this matter." He doesn't lack source crystals at all, so naturally he doesn't want to mine that kind of blue feather coral, and despite Zhao Yi's hype, he won't be tempted. Seeing this, Zhao Yi didn't want to force it, he just felt that Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan should live here for a few more years before they knew the value of the blue feather coral. At that time, I am afraid that he will not need to lobby, and the two will take the initiative to join. By the way, how long will it take for you to return? Yang Kai asked. Zhao Yi said, "It looks like there are still 3 days' journey to the destination. It will take 2 or 3 days to mine at the place. Returning, at least 1 month before returning to Tongtian Island." So long, Yang Kai frowned. Zhao Yi smiled wryly. The materials around Tongtian Island have already been mined to find almost everything. If you want good things, you have to go a little farther. The risk is directly proportional to the benefit. Yang Kai nodded and said, "Then I wish you success immediately." Hearing what he said, Zhao Yi stood up wisely and said, "Then don't bother Qingshou and Qingshou. If you need anything else, just come to me, Lao Zhao." "It is good." Zhao Yi walked to the door, and suddenly said, "By the way, when you two go to Tongtian City in the future, you must first find a way to apply for an identity card, otherwise you will not be able to enter the city, but if you apply for an identity card, it will expose your new personality." "Identity, do you want me to talk to eldest sister and ask her to think of a way for you? Although we are not attached to any forces, eldest sister is popular and has a wide network of contacts, so maybe we can handle it." Yang Kai pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "Then thank you brother Zhao." Zhao Yi smiled and said, "I'll let you know if there's any news." After Zhao Yi left, Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan looked at each other, and they both saw each other's worry. This ghostly place can trap even the 3rd level of Emperor Senior, so it can be seen that their chances of going out are slim, and they are anxious. Yi and his group obviously didn't know how to get out of here, and they couldn't get any news from them. For the current plan, we can only go to Tongtian Island first, and then make plans. The boat sailed for 3 to 5 days, and suddenly stopped. Yang Kai's spiritual sense was released, and the warriors on the ship were all standing on the deck, gearing up, full of energy, as if they had already arrived at the place, ready to go to the sea to collect the blue-feathered coral. Yang Kai didn't bother, but Zhao Yi ran over again and asked Yang Kai again if he wanted to go into the sea with them. After being rejected by Yang Kai, Zhao Yi didn't bother much. After a while, most of the people on board jumped off the deck and disappeared into the sea. It seems to be the same as what Zhao Yi said before, in the depths of the sea, the powerful sea beast guarding the Kangyu coral has died, and Ling Yinshan and others are proceeding very smoothly. There are warriors coming in and out of the sea continuously, and everyone's expression is very excited. 4 days later, when all warriors returned from the sea, no one went into the sea again. Yang Kai didn't pay too much attention to their movements, but occasionally when he checked, he could hear some of their conversations. From the scattered chats, Yang Kai learned that they really gained a lot from this trip, even better than Ling Yinshan expected to gain more. There were no casualties among the crew, and they got so many benefits effortlessly after just going to sea. Every crew member had a smile on their faces, even Ling Yinshan, who had always been cold, showed a rare smile. After waiting for half a day, the boat turned around and set sail slowly. It seemed that it was going back. Yang Kai finally felt relieved. He was really afraid that Ling Yinshan and his group would encounter danger in the sea. If that was the case, no one would take him to Tongtian Island. Now everything is safe and sound, which is naturally what Yang Kai hopes to see. The day was uneventful. Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan stayed in the side room and didn't go out. Ling Yinshan seemed very satisfied with their cooperation and honesty, and didn't come to disturb them, but Zhao Yi would send some from time to time come eat and drink. 7 days later, Yang Kai, who was meditating, suddenly changed his expression and opened his eyes. The next moment, he released his spiritual thoughts, poured into the mysterious boundary bead, and connected with the Dharma body. What's the matter? Yang Kai asked. The Dharma body sent him a message just now. It seemed very hasty, and he didn't know what happened. Ruoxi, that girl, is going to be promoted. Dharma body immediately replied. Ruoxi is going to be promoted. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows and said, good thing. What a fart, the law body yelled. Yang Kai also suddenly realized something. His complexion changed, and he said, Dao Origin Realm. He remembered that Zhang Ruoxi should be at the 3rd level of the Void King, and if he made a breakthrough, he would be at the Dao Yuan level. That's right, this girl doesn't know what's going on. Her strength has improved so quickly, how long it's only been, and she's about to break through the Dao Origin Realm. Yang Kai suddenly understood the seriousness of the problem, and quickly swayed into the mysterious Shaoji. Somewhere in mysterious Shaoji, Zhang Ruoxi was sitting cross-legged, her whole body was floating, and the holy energy in her body was running like a river, and there was a gurgling sound. This appearance is obviously on the verge of breaking through. If it was outside, such a breakthrough would definitely be no problem, but here is mysterious Shaoji, and the laws of heaven and earth are not perfect. It is nothing for Zhang Ruoxi to practice here on weekdays, but when breaking through the big realm, it involves the baptism of the energy of heaven and earth, and the comprehension of the laws. Xuanji can't provide it at all. In other words, it is absolutely impossible for Zhang Ruoxi to break through to Daoyuan realm in mysterious Shaoji. If he doesn't care, he will only fail. Once she fails, Zhang Ruoxi's martial arts path will come to an end here, and she may even encounter a backlash and die. Yang Kai's complexion suddenly turned ugly. There was a vast ocean outside, and the environment of this secret realm of solitude was so strange, he didn't know if Zhang Ruoxi could break through if he was taken outside. Even if it is taken outside, where can it be broken through? Beside Zhang Ruoxi, Watching Si and Lu Yan were standing there with solemn expressions, and when they sensed his arrival, the two girls hurried over. How long has this been going on? Yang Kai asked. It's just started, Watching Si replied, but judging by the appearance of this girl, I'm afraid she can't be suppressed. If she is forced to suppress, it will only damage her foundation. Master, what should we do now? Lu Yan has no idea at all. They all know Yang Kai's current situation, and they really can't think of any good way to solve Zhang Ruoxi's current situation. You guys stare for a while, I'll think of a way. Yang Kai said, and immediately left mysterious small world. Zhang Ruoxi has just realized the opportunity to break through, and she may be able to persist for a while, but it will definitely not work after a long time, and a solution must be found before the time limit comes. In the wing room, Yang Kai appeared again and rushed out. Lu Shanyan was confused, not knowing what Yang Kai was going to do in such a hurry, so he quickly stood up and followed. In the cabin, Ling Yinshan was meditating and practicing. It was beyond her expectation that she could gain so much from this trip to sea. After returning, she would not have to go out for at least 2 or 3 years, so she was in a happier mood. Just as he was thinking about which faction he should sell those blue-feathered corals to when he went back, the door of the room was suddenly knocked open with a bang. Ling Yinshan paled in shock, jumped up from the spot, and shouted, "Who is it?" She is the boss of the ship, and no crew member dared to rush in without saying hello, so Ling Yinshan's first reaction was to encounter some kind of enemy. But after seeing the face of the person who came in, Ling Yinshan gritted her teeth and said, "What are you doing?" She was so angry that she secretly rejoiced that she hadn't been comprehending any cultivation technique or secret technique just now, otherwise if Yang Kai interrupted her like this, wouldn't she be in vain? This person has been very peaceful since he came to the boat. Ling Yinshan thought he was not bad at first, but looking at him now, he looks extremely odious. Yang Kai also knew that he was abrupt, but Zhang Ruoxi's life and future were at stake, so he could only cup his fists and say, "Sister Ling, I have something urgent, please forgive me." He also heard Ling Yinshan's name by listening to the chats of those crew members. What happened? There was a burst of exclamation from the aisle. Obviously the movement of Yang Kai's crash into the door just now attracted the crew members. When everyone saw Yang Kai standing at the door, Ling Yinshan looked angry, everyone was shocked. Zhao Yi stood in the crowd, blinked his eyes, and said in astonishment, "Brother Yang, why did you hit our eldest sister?" The door of the head. Could it be that the boy covets the beauty of the eldest sister's head and wants to use it? What? There is such a thing, hateful, too hateful. Boy, you are looking for death. There is a junior sister who is not satisfied, and even puts her mind on the eldest sister. See if I won't abandon you today. A group of people were bluffing, and the scene was extremely lively. Yang Kai's face was dark, and he quickly cupped his fists and said to Ling Yinshan, "I really have a very urgent matter, big sister Ling, please forgive me." Ling Yinshan gritted her teeth and glared at Yang Kai. Although the resentment in her heart was hard to dissipate, seeing that his expression didn't seem to be fake, she snorted coldly and said, "What's the matter that you can't even knock on the door? Your lord hasn't taught you these etiquettes." Yang Kai was reprimanded, but he didn't dare to retaliate. He could only say, "I want to ask Sister Ling, if I want to break through the realm outside, what should I do?" Breakthrough. Ling Yinshan's face changed when she heard the words, and she lost her voice. Breakthrough to the big realm. Exactly. Yang Kai nodded. As soon as these words came out, Ling Yinshan's mind suddenly buzzed, and her face was full of shock. She thought Yang Kai was going to break through. Yang Kai is Daoyuan third layer. If he wants to break through, doesn't it mean he wants to be promoted to Emperor Zun? To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2370 Advanced Purification Formation. There are only a few emperors in Tongtian Island. Ling Yinshan never thought that a person she met on the road would have the potential to break through the emperor. Once this person named Yang Kai breaks through to the emperor senior realm, he will definitely be able to occupy a place on Tongtian Island, and even protect them in turn, but only those who have lived in the lonely void secret realm for a long time will knowing that this place is simply the grave of warriors. The warriors who live here are lucky if their cultivation does not regress with the passage of time. Even if they are lucky enough to perceive the opportunity for a breakthrough, there are very few successful ones. Ling Yinshan has seen too many people who failed to break through in this ghostly place, and thus lost all their cultivation and became disabled. So after being shocked, Ling Yinshan looked at Yang Kai and suddenly became sympathetic. She could see that Yang Kai's age was not too old, and being able to have a Daoyuan third layer cultivation base was enough to show that his aptitude was not bad, and he should be a young handsome person from some sect outside, a rising star, given time, may not necessarily be you can't get a glimpse of the mysteries of the Emperor's realm. But here, the odds of failure are huge, huge. Yang Kai looked anxious, and didn't know why Ling Yinshan looked at him with a sympathetic gaze. Seeing that she didn't answer for a long time, he asked again, "Big Sister Ling, do you have any good ideas? Do you really want to break through?" Ling Yinshan couldn't bear it, and suggested, "If you are not sure, I suggest you cut your own cultivation, and definitely don't break through in the secret realm of Jixu." Yang Kai was stunned, and asked subconsciously, "Why?" Zhao Yi said, "Brother Yang, the lonely void secret realm is not a suitable place to break through. You also know that this world is full of infinite transformation power. 99 out of 10 people who dare to break through here will fail. The eldest sister is thinking about you." Yang Kai was really shocked now. He had thought that this place was not a good place to break through before, but he didn't expect it to be so serious. Right now, Zhang Ruoxi's energy is floating, and she can't suppress it at all. If it is like Ling Yinshan said, self-cultivation, then Zhang Ruoxi will never be promoted to Daoyuan realm, and can only stay at the level of Void King realm for the rest of her life. Because this is the path of self-defeating martial arts, there is no panacea to cure it. The other crew members also looked at Yang Kai with sympathetic expressions, as if they felt that he had encountered great misfortune. He didn't care too much about the matter of him knocking open the door of Ling Yinshan's room. It's just too cruel to argue about these trivial matters with a person whose martial arts path is about to end. Yang Kai just hesitated for a moment, then his expression became firm, and he said, "I also asked Sister Ling to give some pointers." Seeing that he was so persistent, Ling Yinshan knew that it was useless to dissuade him, so she could only say, "I have a set of high-level spiritual purification array here, maybe it can help you." The spiritual purification formation is divided into 4 levels: low level, middle level, high level, and top level. When chatting with Zhao Yi these days, Yang Kai learned that the jingling arrays arranged in these rooms on the ship are all low level, because the higher the grade of the jingling array, the more expensive it is, and the price of a higher grade is almost 10 times more expensive. In the secret realm of Jiksu, they are regarded as warriors who are struggling at the bottom, and they simply don't have the financial resources to ask someone to arrange a more powerful spiritual purification array. Yang Kai didn't expect that she actually had a high-level spirit purification formation. The higher the level of the spiritual purification formation, the better its effect on warriors will be. This spirit purification formation is like a net. While filtering out the transformation power between the heaven and the earth, it also blocks the inflow of spiritual energy from the heaven and earth. Therefore, no matter how rich the spiritual energy in this piece of heaven and earth is, any place where the spirit purification formation is arranged, the aura is relatively thin. The higher the level of the net spirit formation, the less it will hinder the inflow of heaven and earth spirit energy, the more intense the spirit energy will be, and the better the effect of cultivating in it will be. Yang Kai was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "Thank you, big sister Ling." Hearing that Ling Yinchen was going to take out the high-level spiritual purification array in her hand, the crew members couldn't help but change their colors, and Zhao Yi even whispered, "Sister, the spiritual purification array." Ling Yinchen interrupted him, and took out a set of array flags from the space ring and handed it to Yang Kai, saying, "If you really can't do something, don't force it." She stuffed another jade slip to Yang Kai, and said, "This is the formation method, it's very simple, just look carefully and you'll know." "I've made a note of it." Yang Kai nodded seriously, although he didn't know the origin of this high-level spirit purification formation, but seeing the faces of those crew members, he also knew that this thing was extremely valuable to Ling Yinchen, otherwise it may not be used normally. But according to Yang Kai's knowledge, Ling Yinchen's room was only equipped with a low-level spirit purification formation. He didn't know what was going on in this set of high-level spirit purification arrays, but he secretly decided to give Ling Yinchen some compensation after the matter here was dealt with. "I have to trouble big sister Ling again, is there any island near here?" Yang Kai asked. Ling Yinchen raised her head and said to a bearded warrior, "Bring the sea chart." The warrior immediately took out a piece of animal skin paper from the space ring, spread it out in front of Ling Yinchen with a clatter, and Yang Kai also leaned over to look at it, but he didn't quite understand it. Ling Yinchen glanced at the chart for a while, reached out to touch one of the positions, and said in a deep voice, "To the southeast, 500 miles away, there is a small island." Yang Kai cupped his fists and said, "Thank you." When the words fell, he had flickered and disappeared. Everyone was shocked, even Ling Yinchen's face changed color, and no one understood how Yang Kai left. Although she knew that Yang Kai was at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, she did not expect him to be so powerful. Ling Yinchen couldn't spy on Yang Kai's traces just because of the superb disappearing method just now. If such a person wanted to kill himself, he would be unable to guard against it at all. For a moment, Ling Yinchen secretly rejoiced that the crew did not provoke Yang Kai, otherwise, no one would know how the crew died. "Senior brother, he is going to break through the emperor." Suddenly someone beside him murmured. Ling Yinchen looked up and saw Lu Shanyan standing there with a worried face. She rushed out of the room following Yang Kai, and heard the conversation just now clearly, so she was a little shocked. Ling Yinchen doesn't know much about Yang Kai. Lu Shanyan has been meditating with Yang Kai these days, and he didn't even notice that he has any signs of breaking through. Why is he suddenly breaking through Emperor Senior? But after the shock, there was a deep sense of worry, because Ling Yinchen made it very clear that it is not a good thing to break through in the secret realm of silence. "Sister Ling, my senior brother." Lu Shanyan looked at Ling Yinchen. The latter sighed and said truthfully, "The hope is very small, and it is basically impossible to succeed." Lu Shanyan's face turned pale, and he almost couldn't stand steadily. How did Yang Kai surprise such a talented and gorgeous person, that he was about to collapse in this ghostly place? And the root of all this is myself. If he hadn't met by chance in Gao City, Yang Kai would not have stood up for himself, and would not have attracted an old monster like Yao Changjun, and would not have been chased by him and fled to Jiksu Ridge, swallowed by Jiksu's secret realm. Lu Shanyan thought about it, and felt that he was too sorry for Yang Kai, and felt that if he really failed to break through, became a useless person, or just fell, it was all his responsibility. "Elder sister, that spirit purification formation was left to you by Brother Zhou back then, why do you Zhao Yi looked at Ling Yinshan sadly. Ling Yinshan said, I need it urgently, so it's important to borrow something. Zhao Yi said, but what if it gets damaged by him? If you want to break through, I will also lend it to you. A group of crew members knew that Ling Yinshan was not lying. Her personality was like this, she was cold on the outside and hot on the inside. Yang Kai was just a hitchhiker and had nothing to do with her at all, but she still lent the precious spiritual purification formation to Yang Kai. But the preciousness of that set of spirit purification formation does not lie in its value, but in its meaning in Ling Yinshan's heart. So even though everyone knew that Ling Yinshan had a high-level spiritual purification array, they never asked her to use it for everyone. Everyone just lived in the low-level spiritual purification array and practiced slowly to slow down the speed of their retreat. Pass the order down, wait here for a few days, and you're all going to leave. Ling Yinshan waved her hand and issued the order to evict the guests. A dozen crew members looked at me and at you, but they didn't dare to say anything more, and left one after another. Brother Zhao, who is that brother Zhou you mentioned just now? Lu Shanyan followed Zhao Yi to the direction of the wing room and asked. Zhao Yi said, it's Big Sister Tu's partner. Back then, Big Sister Tu and Brother Zhou came here together and took us to fight together. Later, when we went out to sea, Brother Zhou was killed by a sea beast in order to protect everyone. Before he died, the only thing left is the spirit purification formation, which he bought by selling his secret treasure. If it wasn't for the secret treasure in his hand, Big Brother Zhou would not have died. Speaking of the past, Zhao Yi's emotions were slightly agitated, his fists clenched. Obviously he had received a lot of care from his elder brother that week, and he had long been recognized as a relative in his heart. Big Brother Zhou was really nice to Big Sister Ling. Lu Shanyan said in a daze, for the sake of her partner, she would rather sell her secret treasure and buy a spiritual purification formation. This seems silly, but who can criticize it? What? Now you should know how precious the spirit purification array is to the elder sister, right? Zhao Yi gritted his teeth. If your senior brother damages the spirit purification array, I, Lao Zhao, will be the first to let him go. Although Zhao Yi and Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan have had a good chat these days, and even got a lot of source crystals from Yang Kai, but when it comes to the set of high-level spiritual purification arrays, he still firmly stands in Ling Yinshan's position. After being harsh, Zhao Yi said angrily, I'm sorry, Lao Zhao is a little grumpy, I shouldn't have told you these things, but your senior brother doesn't know if he can come back safely. It's okay, I understand senior brother Zhao's mood. Lu Shanyan waved her hand, she couldn't help but fantasize that if Yang Kai left something for herself, no matter how valuable it was, she would definitely treasure it like a treasure. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2371 Giant Shadow Reappearance. Chapter 2371 Giant Shadow Reappearance. When Yang Kai was flying towards the small island, his mind was immersed in the jade slip that Ling Yinshan gave him, to find out how to arrange the spirit purification formation. Although he hadn't had much experience with the way of the formation, the jade slips recorded in great detail and were easy to understand. What's more, if there were formation flags, it shouldn't be difficult to arrange them. In a short distance of 500 miles, Yang Kai arrived in just a dozen breaths. This is because he deliberately slowed down a little in order to study the jade slips. Otherwise, if he uses his mastery of spatial powers to do his best, the time for 3 breaths can be reached. Looking around, there is indeed a veritable small island in front of it, but it is about 100 feet in diameter, and there is no grass. It looks like a reef. The sky is clear and cloudless, and the sea is peaceful. Yang Kai hurriedly landed, and began to form an array according to the records in the jade slips. After about a cup of tea, he finally arranged it properly, and a layer of faint light suddenly enveloped the entire island, purifying the energy of the world, but the spiritual energy also weakened several levels accordingly. It seems that the high-level spiritual purification array can't let all the spiritual energy of the world pour in. Based on this calculation, even the top-level spiritual purification array may not be much better. Time was running out, so he just checked the formation a little bit, and after confirming that there was nothing wrong with it, he waved his hand and released Zhang Ruoxi from Shaoxuanji. Sir, I'm causing you trouble again. Zhang Ruoxi had a hard expression on her face, her aura was as violent as boiling water, and she said to Yang Kai with a guilty face as soon as she appeared. She obviously also knows what Yang Kai's situation is now. Yang Kai waved his hand and said, "Don't think too much, calm your mind, breakthrough is important, I will protect you by the side, and get rid of all distracting thoughts." Zhang Ruoxi nodded lightly, closed her beautiful eyes, pinched the Zhanyan seal with her hand, and silently realized. After a short while, the energy floating on her body became more and more fierce, and the wandering of the Saint Yuan in her body also became more and more violent. The spiritual energy of the surrounding world, as if given life, poured into her body one after another. But because of the obstruction of the spiritual purification formation, the spiritual energy of this world is obviously not enough to meet her needs for promotion and breakthrough, which puts Zhang Ruoxi in a dilemma for a while. Seeing this, Yang Kai took out a lot of source crystals from the space ring without hesitation, and with a shock of power, he turned those source crystals into fine powder and filled the island with rich spiritual energy. With the help of these source crystals, the hard-working expression on Zhang Ruoxi's face finally eased a lot. Yang Kai took out the source crystals one after another and shattered them. Within a short time, the aura of heaven and earth above the small island turned into mist, and the whole small island was hazy. Even if Yang Kai was 10 feet away from Zhang Ruoxi, he couldn't. I can't see her figure clearly. Feeling that it should be almost the same, Yang Kai stopped. Since Zhang Ruoxi awakened the power of her blood, she seemed to be a different person. Her aptitude was indescribable. Every time she practiced, it was like devouring the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It was for this reason that her cultivation was able to improve so quickly. Back then, the Zhang family advocated that Gao Zhan got a Daoyuan fruit in the 5-color pagoda, but was conspired and seriously injured. Before he died, he asked Yang Kai to go to the Zhang family at the price of the Daoyuan fruit, and asked Yang Kai to promise leave a Daoyuan pill for the descendants of the Zhang family. Yang Kai went, but at that time Zhang Ruoxi only had the cultivation base of the Saint King realm, and it has only been a few years, and she has reached the level of breaking through the Dao source realm. Yang Kai still kept the Daoyuan pill prepared for Zhang Ruoxi, but it looks like he doesn't need it at all. And over the past few years, the originally young girl has grown into a slim girl. For a time, Yang Kai couldn't help but feel a lot of emotion. The whistling sound kept coming, and Zhang Ruoxi seemed to have turned into a bottomless pit, constantly devouring the spiritual energy on the island, and within a short while, the rich spiritual energy became thin again. Yang Kai had to take out more source crystals and shatter them. After doing this 3 times, Yang Kai estimated that he had consumed at least tens of millions of source crystals. Zhang Ruoxi suddenly snorted softly, and then, an indescribable Dao rhyme swayed all of a sudden. To break through. Seeing this, Yang Kai didn't dare to stay where he was anymore. He rushed out of the island, and kept a close eye on Zhang Ruoxi's movements from a moderate distance. This position actually ensured that he would not interfere with Zhang Ruoxi's promotion, and also ensured that she could be rescued in time if something happened to her. Judging from the current stage, Zhang Ruoxi's breakthrough is very smooth, because he has his own tens of millions of source crystals to assist, but Yang Kai knows that the real difficulty has not yet come. For Zhang Ruoxi, the most difficult hurdle right now is the baptism of heaven and earth energy. The aura of heaven and earth here is full of infinite transforming power. If she absorbs it into her body, she doesn't know what will happen. But if you don't absorb it into your body, you won't be able to advance. This is a dilemma. Rumbling. There was a humming sound in the sky, and the originally cloudless sky suddenly changed suddenly, and the whole sky was pitch black. Above the small island, a huge black cloud suddenly formed, slowly rotating, converging into a vortex. Among the ink clouds, lightning and thunder rumbled, demonstrating the power of heaven. Yang Kai tensed up involuntarily, and looked up at the sky. At the same time, 500 miles away, on the deck of the building ship, a group of warriors stood here and pointed in the direction of the small island. They thought that this phenomenon of heaven and earth was obviously caused by Yang Kai, but they didn't know why. Others. In Ling Yinshan's room, she leaned against the window and looked into the distance. A look of surprise flashed in her eyes, and she said to herself, it actually led to a vision of heaven and earth. The vision of heaven and earth is elicited, which means that the next step is to accept the baptism of the energy of heaven and earth, and there is really a glimmer of hope for a successful breakthrough. Ling Yinshan suddenly felt that she seemed to underestimate Yang Kai. She previously said that the chance of Yang Kai's breakthrough was very low, but now it seems that he is indeed a little sure. However, what puzzled Ling Yinshan was that the power of this vision of heaven and earth was not right, because it obviously felt a little smaller. Although Ling Yinshan had never seen the scene of a warrior breaking through the emperor, obviously it should not to such a degree. In another wing room, Lu Shanyan was also watching from the window, with a worried and nervous look on her face, but she didn't dare to go and watch rashly, so she could only put her hands together, kneel on the ground, and sincerely pray for God's blessing. At the same time, thousands of miles away, on the surface of the sea, there was also a large ship sailing slowly. Although it was thousands of miles away, the vision of heaven and earth still made the people on the ship discover something. After a while, the boat suddenly changed its direction and headed towards the direction of the small island, apparently to investigate. Above the small island, dark clouds were as thick as mountains, and thunder continued. Unexpectedly, a blast of heaven and earth power came from the air, directly towards the small island. Judging from the trajectory, it seemed as if it was about to fall on top of Zhang Ruoxi's head. Yang Kai changed color slightly, but resisted the impulse and did not go to help. Bang! There was a loud noise, and the huge power of heaven and earth blasted directly into the interior of the small island, and Yang Kai's jingling formation on the small island collapsed all of a sudden, and the formation flags hidden all around were damaged. The light covering the island disappeared at the same time. This high-level spiritual purification array was destroyed just like that. Before the power of the day fell on top of Zhang Ruoxi's head, her delicate body shook, and a huge phantom suddenly appeared behind her. Yang Kai's eyes widened, staring fixedly at that side. This is not the first time he has seen this phantom. It had appeared before when Zhang Ruoxi was promoted to the Great Realm in the Land of Four Seasons, but Yang Kai never knew what kind of ghost this phantom was. He only guessed that it was related to Zhang Ruoxi's blood. Power has a lot to do with it. Looking at it now, the phantom is more solid than last time, and what makes Yang Kai feel strange is that he can't see it clearly. He only knows that this phantom is a huge female image, as high as 20 or 30 feet. Even bigger than after the little transformation, with a giant sword in both hands, the whole person's head reaches the sky, and his feet are on the ground, giving people a strong visual impact. Although huge, this woman is definitely not ugly, as if a stunning beauty has been magnified countless times. No matter which part of her body is perfect, there is no blemish. Like Zhang Ruoxi's patron saint, she suddenly appeared behind Zhang Ruoxi, with a heroic figure, full of vigor and stamina, as if she could block even 1,000 troops. That ray of power from heaven and earth fell into her body, like a rock sinking into the sea, without any ripples at all. The next moment, the phantom raised its head, stared at the sky, opened its mouth, and sucked lightly. The power gathered in the sky was directly sucked into her mouth by her. In just 3 short breaths, the dark sky became clear again, and the sea suddenly became calm again. Even if he had seen it once, Yang Kai was still shocked and unable to speak for a long time. It is common sense for warriors to break through the great realm. The baptism of the power of heaven and earth is common sense. Everyone can't avoid it. If they can survive, they can pry into the mysteries of the next realm. If they can't survive, they will either die or be destroyed. Yang Kai has come here for so many years. But compared with Zhang Ruoxi's promotion, Yang Kai felt that his breakthrough was simply weak, not at the same level at all. Just as he was thinking wildly, that huge phantom had already flashed into Zhang Ruoxi's body. The next moment, the aura of Daoyuan realm permeated Zhang Ruoxi's body, her bones creaked, and the power in her body surged violently. Yang Kai was secretly anxious, and didn't know if it was a problem for the phantom to swallow the power of the world on its own initiative. After all, the aura in this world is full of infinite transformation power. When the phantom swallows the power of the world, it must also swallow the power of the world. The chemical power was swallowed together. He paid close attention to Zhang Ruoxi's reaction, secretly decided that if something went wrong, he would bring her into mysterious Shaoji. But he looked around. Zhang Ruoxi didn't have any uncomfortable expression, but a happy expression on his face, as if he was happy for his breakthrough. He was still sitting there, pinching the spirit art, which made Yang Kai confused and a little confused, do not understand the situation. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2372 failed. 500 miles away, Ling Yinshan secretly sighed, is it really a failure? The massive vision of heaven and earth disappeared all of a sudden, which was obviously a sign of breakthrough failure, and he didn't know if Yang Kai was alive or dead now. She secretly felt sorry for Yang Kai, although she was not familiar with Yang Kai. seeing a martial artist's way of asking was ended, which made her feel a little bit sad. In the wing room, Lu Shanyan, who was kneeling on the ground and praying devoutly, suddenly collapsed on the ground, her pretty face turned pale and bloodless. After a long while, she gritted her teeth and stood up from where she was, and rushed out in a hurry. Regardless of whether Yang Kai was alive or dead, she had to go find him. If he was alive, he wanted to see a person; if he was dead, he wanted to see a corpse. She felt that if it wasn't for herself, Yang Kai would not have encountered such bad luck. With his aptitude, he would definitely be able to laugh proudly in the star world in the future and achieve the prestige of an overlord. Lu Shanyan had just rushed to the deck when he suddenly saw a huge building boat approaching in front of him. This building boat was bigger and more magnificent than those of Ling Yinshan and others. I don't know when it approached, but when Lu Shanyan found out, the distance between the two buildings was already very close. She looked up, and just in time saw that the deck of the opposite building was full of fighters, led by a man in purple robes, rushing down and staring at them with malicious intentions. Ling Yinshan and the others didn't realize it until this time, and ran out of the cabin one after another. After seeing the sail mark on the opposite building, all of them's faces sank. Lu Shanyan was worried about Yang Kai's life and death in his heart, so he didn't bother to pay attention to it at all. His delicate body was about to fly out, but the purple-robed man on the opposite boat's expression sank. He waved his hand, and his body didn't move, a palm print already scanned over. On the island, Yang Kai waited until Zhang Ruoxi opened his eyes, then he flew over slowly, landed in front of Zhang Ruoxi, and hurriedly asked, "Is there any discomfort?" "Uncomfortable." Zhang Ruoxi shook her head with a blank expression, "No." She looked happy again, and said coquettishly, "Sir, I have broken through the source of Tao." A few years ago, she never thought that one day she would be able to break through to the level of Daoyuan realm and stand at such a high altitude. After all, in the Zhang family back then, the most powerful person was only at the third level of the Void King. The lonely family has not been out of Daoyuan for many years, but since Yang Kai took her away from the Zhang family, her cultivation base has been rising steadily, growing rapidly at an extremely incredible speed. That's all, he has achieved a feat that the ancestors of the Zhang family have never been able to achieve. With such a cultivation base, he could already gain a firm foothold in the original Fenggalan city. Zhang Ruoxi was extremely grateful to Yang Kai. She knew that if Yang Kai hadn't provided her with such a good and stable cultivation environment, it would be impossible for her to do this kind of thing, and she also knew that if Yang Kai hadn't discovered her cultivation talent, she wouldn't be able to spy on her even if she practiced for the rest of her life. The mystery of Daoyuanjing. But now, she is only 17 years old, and she is already a strong person in the Daoyuan realm. She has a long time to live, and she will have a lot of good times in the future. She even has the opportunity to ask for the Emperor's honor and get a glimpse of the Emperor's secret. Zhang Ruoxi's heart throbbed endlessly. "Give me your hand." Yang Kai came to her, although he didn't notice anything unusual about Zhang Ruoxi, but he was still a little worried and prepared to investigate carefully. Zhang Ruoxi blushed a little, and stretched out a soft blade like a white lotus root. Yang Kai put his finger up, urged a trace of source force to pour into her body, and examined it carefully. After a while, Yang Kai's body shook. He looked at Zhang Ruoxi in surprise, and said in a low voice, "How is this possible?" "What's the matter, sir? Is there something wrong with Ruoxi?" Zhang Ruoxi was startled when she saw his ugly face, and immediately became panicked. No. Yang Kai shook his head quickly, for fear of frightening her, but his brows became more and more wrinkled, and his face was full of surprised expressions, as if he had seen something extremely incomprehensible. Zhang Ruoxi didn't move at all. She could only feel a source of Yang Kai's force flowing around her body, although Yang Kai controlled it and didn't go to some hidden parts, but this feeling still made Zhang Ruoxi blush, and soon he lowered his head to his chest. But she also knew that Yang Kai was checking the situation in her body, and didn't have any bad thoughts. After a while, Yang Kai withdrew his fingers and looked at Zhang Ruoxi with a strange expression. "Sir, what's wrong with me?" Zhang Ruoxi asked in a low voice. "You are fine," Yang Kai replied. "It's unbelievable." Yang Kai originally thought that Zhang Ruoxi would definitely be affected by the transformation power of this world when she broke through the Tao source realm in this ghost place, and he was ready to take this girl to mysterious Shaoji to heal her wounds, but now after some inspection, Yang Kai found that she didn't have any energy in her body. The infinite transforming power that filled this world seemed to have completely evaporated after entering her body. That's all. Although it's unbelievable, it doesn't make Yang Kai lose his composure. The most important thing is that Yang Kai discovered that the power in Zhang Ruoxi's body turned out to be rich source power, not Saint Yuan. After the martial artist is promoted to the source of Tao, the power of his body will gradually transform from the source power of the previous Shengyuan dynasty. It took Yang Kai nearly a year to transform completely, and this was done on the premise of taking a large amount of Yuan Ning pill. For example, Kai Yu, Ghost Ancestor, Ji Yu Kangyan, etc., although they are all at the first level of Dao Yuan, the power in their bodies has not yet been transformed, and the same is true for Lu Shanyan. Transforming source power is an extremely long process. Any warrior who has just broken through the Daoyuan realm will spend at least 3 to 5 years to complete this transformation. This is still a warrior with good qualifications. 10 years are possible. Only when all the power in the body is transformed into source power, will the foundation of the Daoyuan realm be completely stabilized, and there is hope to break through the Daoyuan two-layer realm. Yang Kai watched Zhang Ruoxi break through on this small island with his own eyes, but it only took a while. Zhang Ruoxi has already completed what ordinary people need a few years to complete. There is no trace of the holy energy in her body, and what fills her tender body is the pure and vigorous source force. In other words, Zhang Ruoxi has completed the complete transformation of the source force at the moment of promotion and breakthrough. Yang Kai really couldn't figure out how such a strange thing could happen. Fortunately, Zhang Ruoxi's strange things are not limited to this one. After much deliberation, Yang Kai can only attribute it to the power of her bloodline. After all, the power of Zhang Ruoxi's bloodline is really extraordinary, and it seems to hide a great secret. However, Yang Kai did not dare to take it lightly, and asked Zhang Ruoxi to continue to carefully check her body on the small island. After confirming that there were no hidden dangers, she was taken back to mysterious Shaoji, and Lu Yan and Qingxi were given to her. Explain the mystery of Daoyuanjing and assist her in her future cultivation. The island is still the same island, but the high-level purification array arranged on this island is damaged. After Yang Kai collected the set of formation flags, he had a bitter look on his face. He still doesn't know how to explain to Ling Yinshan when he goes back. This set of high-level spirit purification arrays seems to be an extremely precious thing to her, and if it is so broken in her own hands, she doesn't know if Ling Yinshan will get angry. Yang Kai checked the basic formation flag and found that it was seriously damaged, and his face became more and more bitter. With a sigh, he put these things away, and then turned around and returned the same way. After a while, he had a strange expression on his face, staring at the two large boats moored above the sea. His brows frowned slightly. Of these two building boats, one of them belonged to Ling Yinshan, while the other, which was bigger, he had never seen before. It was obvious that he came here when he was promoting Zhang Ruoxi. On the vast sea, the chances of two big boats meeting are extremely low. The fact that this big boat came here may be because Zhang Ruoxi's promotion brought them here just now. Because looking at the direction that the bow of the big ship was pointing at, it was impressively where the small island he came from was. The big boat is more than 2 or 3 times bigger than Ling Yinshan's and others building boats. Putting the two boats together, it looks like a grandfather and a grandson. Before Yang Kai approached, he heard a loud noise coming from the other side, which made his expression sink, his figure swayed, and he fell directly onto the deck. Looking up, I saw Ling Yinshan and a dozen crew members, led by her, were standing on the deck with another group of people. It's like not paying attention to Ling Yinshan and others. And Lu Shanyan was guarded by those crew members behind him. Yang Kai saw that there was a slap mark on Lu Shanyan's pretty face. It was red and red. It seemed that someone had slapped him severely, and the corner of his mouth was still not dry of blood. Yang Kai's face suddenly became gloomy. He didn't know what happened on this boat, and he didn't know the origin of the other group of people, but Lu Shanyan was obviously beaten by these newcomers. His sudden appearance obviously alarmed the two groups of people who were confronting each other. Lu Shanyan was the first to turn his head to look, and when he saw Yang Kai, he forgot about his situation and shouted tremblingly, "Senior brother." Her pair of beautiful eyes kept scanning Yang Kai's body, fearing that she would find something that worried her, and after confirming that Yang Kai was safe and sound, and not missing any arms or legs, she took a deep breath. "Are you okay?" Ling Yinshan also had a surprised expression on her face. Just now Yang Kai must have triggered the vision of heaven and earth. Even if she was 500 miles away, she could see it clearly, but the vision lasted no more than 5 breaths and then suddenly disappeared, which shows that Yang Kai's breakthrough failed. A Daoyuan third-level realm failed to break through Emperor Zun, how could it not be backlashed? Once being backlashed by the power of heaven and earth, the cultivation base of good luck will be ruined, and the cultivation base of bad luck will be killed directly. But Yang Kai actually came back intact. Ling Yinshan inspected Yang Kai several times before confirming that what she saw was true. Suddenly, her face changed slightly, as if she had thought of something. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at AC plus or minus a degree a diaresis T. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2373 Take a Step Back. Phone reading. This young man named Yang Kai should have killed himself at a critical moment, otherwise it would be absolutely impossible for him to be safe. Self-severing one's cultivation base is tantamount to cutting oneself off from the path of martial arts. Thinking of this, Ling Yinshan couldn't help sighing a little bit, and judging from his face, it seemed that he was seriously injured, otherwise why would he be so ugly? This person is really unlucky, he has encountered such a calamity within a few days after he came to the secret realm of silence. If it is 2 months later, he may not be able to attack the Emperor Senior realm in the outside world. Brother Yang, the breakthrough, failed. Zhao Yi opened his mouth wide and asked frankly. He didn't think much about it, he only asked this question when he saw that Yang Kai had returned so quickly, and his cultivation hadn't shown any signs of improvement. But as soon as the words were out of his mouth, Ling Yinshan kicked him quietly, and Zhao Yi immediately knew that he had said the wrong thing, so he quickly shut up. If there is no one else here, it is understandable for him to ask and care about Yang Kai, but there are others here, and he will undoubtedly let others know that Yang Kai's current state is very bad. Well, it failed, Yang Kai replied calmly, without any look of annoyance. Breakthrough. The purple-robed man on the opposite side raised his eyebrows when he heard the words, as if he realized something. He looked at Yang Kai and asked, "So, the movement over there just now was caused by your breakthrough promotion? Which one are you?" Yang Kai glanced at him lightly. Ling Yinshan quickly transmitted the sound transmission. He is Yang Leshui, the deputy head of Xuanyan Pavilion. Xuanyan Pavilion has a lot of influence on Tongtian Island, and the owner of the pavilion has the cultivation base of the emperor. Don't talk about it, just deal with it. Judging from her tone, she seemed to be very afraid of Xuanyan Pavilion. Yang Kai had chatted with Zhao Yi a lot before, and he knew that there are many forces on Tongtian Island, because if he wants to survive in this ghost place, warriors have to stay together. After a long time, all kinds of forces, large and small, will naturally grow. Well, Ling Yinshan and others are actually one of them, but they are not well known. In the entire Tongtian Island, there are as many as 3 or 5 Emperor Senior Realm members, and these Emperor Senior Realm subordinates have the most powerful forces. No one dares to provoke them at will, and Xuanyan Pavilion is one of them. Yang Kai didn't expect that in this vast sea, he could still meet the Xuanyan Pavilion's building boat. Ling Yinshan transmitted the sound to him, no doubt because he was afraid that Yang Kai would offend the other party when he first arrived, and it was considered a good intention. At the same time, a man next to Yang Leshui suddenly listened to him and whispered something to Yang Leshui. Yang Leshui's eyes lit up immediately, looking at Yang Kai's expression with deep meaning. He smiled and said, "Boy, you are new here just like that woman. Why do you look a little unfamiliar?" When Ling Yinshan heard this, her heart sank. The dozen or so crew members on his own ship are all fixed, and the guy next to Yang Leshui obviously recognizes them all, so when he saw the strange faces of Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan, he realized that these two people should be newcomers. That's it. New warriors usually have more or less source crystals, which are nothing more than 2 fat sheep to warriors in the secret territory of Jixu. Even people like Zhao Yi have thought about it, let alone Xuanyan Pavilion people. Ling Yinshan said in a deep voice, "Brother Yang, these 2 are my crew members, they are not newcomers. Brother Yang, do you admit your mistake?" Yang Leshui's face darkened, and he snorted, "You poor servant girl, you can call me Brother Yang." Although his cultivation is only at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, which is almost the same as Ling Yinshan, but he is the deputy pavilion master of Xuanyan Pavilion, and there is a strong emperor at the back. In contrast, Yang Leshui immediately became annoyed when Ling Yinshan called her so loudly. Ling Yinshan's face was ugly, but the situation was stronger than others, so she had to bow her head and said, "Vice Pavilion Master Yang, my concubine made a slip of the tongue, don't blame the Vice Pavilion Master Yang. She has lived in the secret realm of Lonely Void for decades, and she knows who can't be provoked, so even if she is angry in her heart, she can only swallow her anger in this way, just for the sake of peace for a while. Zhao Yi and a group of crew members secretly clenched their fists and gritted their teeth. HMPH. Yang Leshui cast a sideways glance at Ling Yinchen, and said, just this once, next time if you do it again, I will never get around you. Thank you, Deputy Pavilion Master Yang. Ling Yinchen gritted her teeth. As for these two people, Yang Leshui pointed at Lu Shanyan and Yang Kai, and said with a smile, are they newcomers? Do you think I can't see clearly? People who have lived in this ghost place all year round, their bodies are more or less contaminated with sea air, but they don't, obviously they just entered here not long ago. Ling Yinchen, you are so brave, you dare to lie to me. Ling Yinchen's pretty face changed slightly, knowing that she couldn't deny it. She glanced at Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan worriedly, thinking about how to get them out, but she also knew that there was little hope, and her heart was filled with guilt. She thought that Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan would be flustered and terrified when they were being watched by Yang Leshui at this moment, but when she looked around, the two of them looked indifferent when they were together, and they were talking in a low voice. It seemed that Yang Kai was asking Lu Shanyan who made the marks on his face, but Lu Shanyan kept shaking his head and didn't say anything, which made Yang Kai extremely helpless. Hand over these two people, and share half of your harvest from this trip, and I can make an exception to go around you once. Yang Leshui pointed at Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan, commandingly. Half the harvest. Zhao Yi has a fiery temper, and when he heard this, his hair exploded, and he jumped up and said, why don't you grab it? Yang Leshui's face darkened, he glanced at Zhao Yi and said, Ling Yinchen, this is the person you taught. Do you know what the consequences will be if you offend me? Ling Yinchen immediately glared at Zhao Yi, and said in a low voice, don't make any trouble. When the eldest sister spoke, Zhao Yi didn't dare to say anything even though he was dissatisfied, but the expression was extremely ugly, and the suppressed anger almost ignited him, and the others almost had the same expression. They worked hard to go to sea, risking their lives, and finally returned with a full load, but they didn't want to be blocked by Yangle water here, and half of the harvest would be robbed. That half of the harvest is quite a lot, which is equivalent to the result of their hard work in the previous year or two. Who is willing to hand it over? Ling Yinchen cupped her fists and said, Vice Pavilion Master Yang, since those two people boarded my ship, they are my crew members, and I must keep them safe. Well, we have gained a lot from this trip. I can give it all to you, but only if you can't trouble them, eh? Are you haggling with me? Yang Leshui narrowed his eyes, showing a cold light, and his whole body exuded an icy chill. Ling Yinchen raised her head and said, we have harvested more than 100,000 pieces of blue feather coral this time, and there is also the carcass of an ice-fire black dolphin. Deputy Pavilion Master Yang can consider whether it is worthwhile or not. What? Yang Leshui was startled suddenly, and lost his voice. More than 100,000 fast-feathered corals, the corpses of ice-fire black-armored dolphins. Even though he is the deputy head of Xuanyan Pavilion, he has never seen such a large amount of wealth at one time. The more than 100,000 fast-feathered corals alone are terrible, not to mention the corpse of a 12th order monster. The 12th order monster is equivalent to an emperor, and an inner alchemy is priceless. In the secret realm of Jixu, many spirit pills are refined from the inner alchemy of sea beasts. The inner alchemy of these 12th order monsters is enough to refine emperor-level spirit pills, and the effect on Yang Leshui is simply inestimable. He was moved all of a sudden. But Yang Leshui said in a deep voice, Ling Yinchen, how dare you tease me? The ice-fire Xuanjia dolphin is a monster of the 12th rank, how can you kill it with your strength? Ling Yinchen said, it was already dead, and the piece of blue-feathered coral was also the place it guarded. We just went to mine and collect it. Yang Leshui believed it immediately, because in this sea of emptiness, some warriors would often encounter chances and adventures, and they could get many good things for nothing. He laughed loudly. You guys are lucky, not bad, so many things are enough to buy your life. Ling Yinchen said in a deep voice. So, the Deputy Pavilion Master Yang agreed. Yang Leshui nodded and said, of course, why don't you agree to such a good thing, man? I don't want to take it away, but in addition to your conditions just now, the space rings of these two people must also be handed over. He wants to take away Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan mainly for the source crystal in their space ring. As long as he can get the space ring, how can he care about the life and death of Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan? Ling Yinchen frowned and said, this concubine can't decide for them. While speaking, she turned her head and looked at Yang Kai with a helpless look. She can do this to the limit, and the rest depends on whether Yang Kai knows each other or not. Yang Kai snorted. Being shameless to this extent, you can be regarded as unconventional. When Ling Yinshan was negotiating with Yang Leshui earlier, Zhao Yi and the others didn't intervene even though they were angry. Even when Ling Yinshan said that he was willing to hand over all the harvest in exchange for him and Lu Shanyan's safety, none of the crew members' people retort. This made Yang Kai understand how high Ling Yinshan's prestige is among this group of people, because he and Lu Shanyan have nothing to do with them, they just paid the boat ticket and room fee to be with them temporarily, such a relationship, who is willing to pay such a high price to protect them. Ling Yinshan did this because Yang Kai boarded her boat, that is the people on her boat, and she must protect the people on her boat. This is a very principled woman. It also convinced his subordinates that no matter what decision he made, others would only obey. He naturally saw the meaning in Ling Yinshan's eyes. Although he didn't say it clearly, he undoubtedly wanted to persuade him to spend money and eliminate disasters. Ling Yinshan thought that he had failed to break through, and cut off her cultivation base, and now her aura is weak, but how could she know that Yang Kai didn't take these people seriously at all? So when he heard him speak so arrogantly, Ling Yinshan's face changed drastically, and she hurriedly said, Yang Kai, bear with the calm for a while, take a step back. Yang Kai snorted and said, Sister Ling, you should forge ahead on the road of being a warrior and go straight ahead. It's not a good habit to just back down and give in. For some people, if you back down a step, he will shit and piss on your head. R1152. Chapter 2374 Chopping Vegetables and Melons. Ling Yinshan was stunned for a moment, because many years ago, a man told her that even after so many years, she would always remember that man's smile and demeanor. This person called Yang Kai gradually overlapped, making her lose her mind in an instant. That's a good point, but it's meaningless. Yang Leshui sneered, I want to see how you forge ahead in front of me and go straight ahead. You hit my junior sister. Yang Kai looked at him coldly. That's right. Yang Leshui looked at Yang Kai contemptuously, if you dare to be presumptuous in front of me, slapping her is considered light, if you... He was still talking harshly, but just halfway through the words, Yang Kai suddenly disappeared in front of his eyes. The next moment, his eyes blurred, and Yang Kai appeared half a foot in front of him like a ghost, and when he raised his hand, he slapped him. Yang Leshui shuddered, and instinctively turned his body sideways, trying to avoid the blow. But Yang Kai's speed was beyond his imagination, and before he moved, this slap had already slapped him hard on the face. Snappy to A. Yang Leshui flew out of the body, rolling continuously in midair, spewing out a few teeth and a mouthful of blood, and then landed heavily. Silence, deathly silence on the entire deck. Zhao Yi and the others were all dumbfounded at this unimaginable scene, the soles of their feet were about to cramp, Ling Yinshan was also startled, and her heart was horrified. Although she hadn't had much contact with Yang Kai, from her impressions, Yang Kai was not a hot-tempered person, but rather understood etiquette, but what she never expected was that Yang Kai would go directly to Yang Kai. Le Shui made a move, and this move was a severe slap in the face. What should I do now? She had hoped that she would be able to save money and eliminate disasters, but now it seems that this is just her own wishful thinking. No, Yang Kai failed to break through, and cut off his cultivation base again. It should be true that his aura is weak and his strength has dropped drastically. Even if Yang Leshui, a Daoyuan third-layer martial artist is attacked by surprise, how can he not avoid his aura? Hit. But when I saw Yang Kai's action just now, how could there be any signs of weak breath and declining strength? The source force fluctuation brought up by that palm is clearly the power that the Daoyuan third-level realm should have. What's the matter with him? Ling Yinshan was a little confused. A group of people in Xuanyan Pavilion were also stunned. In this lonely void sea, and even Tongtian Island, they were the only ones who showed their might and power. Never thought that one day they would be slapped in the face. And the person who was beaten turned out to be his own deputy cabinet master. There was a buzz in these people's minds, and they almost lost their minds. You, how dare you hit me? Yang Leshui got up from the ground, his whole face was completely twisted, he spit out a mouthful of blood, looked at Yang Kai viciously and shouted, do you know what this seat is? Man, how dare you hit me? Yang Kai hummed, if you dare to be presumptuous in front of this young master, a slap in the face is considered light, if you dare to chatter, I will kill you. Yang Leshui was stunned for a moment, then laughed angrily, and said hysterically, kill. Kill me, I want all the men on this boat to die, and I want all the women on this boat to die. He was really stimulated by Yang Kai, completely berserk, and his face was extremely resentful. Ling Yinchen's face changed drastically when she heard the words, and she hurriedly shouted, "Vice Pavilion Master Yang, please be merciful. There are only a dozen crew members on her ship, only half of them are at the Daoyuan realm, and the remaining half are at the Void King realm, but there are at least 30 people in Xuanyan Pavilion, and there are more than 20 people at the Daoyuan realm. No matter how you look at such a huge force, it is impossible for me and others to win. If there is a real fight, my group of people will definitely die without a place to bury them." As the eldest sister, she naturally has to consider for the crew. Yang Leshui said grimly, "It's too late to say anything now. Ling Yinchen, I will personally concoct you and hang you naked on the gate of Tongtian City." The anger towards Yang Kai even made him hate Ling Yinchen. As a female warrior, being stripped naked and hanging on the city gate, surrounded by people, is definitely a great insult. When Ling Yinchen heard this, her heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Boom boom boom. Many martial artists from Xuanyan Pavilion rushed towards this side in a swarm. All of them looked horrifying, obviously they did not intend to give Ling Yinchen and others a chance to survive. Seeing this situation, Ling Yinchen also knew that the matter was irreversible. She gritted her teeth and shouted, "Fight!" Zhao Yi and the others turned serious. They mobilized their source power one after another, and sacrificed the secret treasure. The figure swayed, and Yang Kai suddenly returned to Zhao Yi and the others, facing the coming storm. "Senior brother, be careful." Lu Shanyan also took out his secret treasure, and let out a low cry when he saw this. "Take care of yourself." While Yang Kai was speaking, he flicked his wrist, and a wide long sword appeared in his palm, and he grasped it. "Cut off his limbs and abolish his cultivation, I want him to know what it will be like to offend me." Yang Leshui stared at Yang Kai with red eyes, and sternly shouted at his subordinates. He was so angry that no one dared to disobey him, let alone hit him in the face in front of so many people. Yang Kai was the first person to do this. His hatred for Yang Kai was simply overwhelming. "Even the water of the Sea of Aa silence can't wash it away, how can I dispel the bad breath in my heart if I don't torture it well?" Yang Kai was indifferent, facing the dozens of warriors who were rushing like wolves and tigers. He just turned the long sword slightly, and in an instant, the sword was dizzy and the sword energy reached the sky. Millions of sword lights devour wolves month by month. The million swords were swept out, and the sword glow like a rain waterfall crazily shot forward, with momentum like a rainbow, shattering the sky. Boom boom boom. A row of Xuanyan Pavilion warriors rushing to the front hadn't figured out what happened. They were horrified to find that their defensive secret treasure and protective source power were easily destroyed, and then they felt pain and fell unconscious. Clatter. On the deck, the smell of blood soared into the sky. The 7 or 8 warriors in the front row fell down like straws that had been cut off, howling on the ground. Seeing this change, the other Xuanyan Pavilion warriors all stopped in horror and stared at Yang Kai with wide-eyed eyes filled with fear. "Emperor Yun, Emperor Treasure." Yang Leshui, who was covering half of his cheeks and was about to watch the show, suddenly screamed. His eyes were like leeches biting on Yang Kai's million sword. An extremely greedy look flashed across. As soon as Yang Kai made a move, he felt the charm of the million sword. This is an emperor treasure, a genuine emperor treasure. If he could obtain it, he might not be able to use the power of the emperor treasure to comprehend the mysteries of the emperor prestige realm. What is the background of this kid? Why does he have the emperor treasure in his hand? Ling Yinchen and the others were also dumbfounded. They thought they were doomed this time, and they planned to pull a few backs before they died, and they were mentally prepared for a desperate decisive battle, but before the enemy rushed in front of them, more than a dozen fell down. And what caused all of this was just one shot by Yang Kai. What's happening here? Ling Yinchen was also messed up in the sea breeze, and her beautiful eyes looked at Yang Kai's back blankly, thinking that this person didn't break through and cut off his cultivation. How can it still exert such a powerful force? Was that blow just now the power of Dabao? Yes, it is definitely the power of the Emperor Treasure, otherwise with Yang Kai's current situation, it would be impossible to achieve this level. I have heard that the Emperor Treasure is extremely powerful, and now it seems to be true, but Yang Kai urged the remaining using Emperor Treasure with all its strength must have placed an extremely heavy burden on itself, and it is very likely that it was the sale of this hammer, and it was impossible to make a second blow at all. What are you waiting for? He just failed to break through, and he doesn't have much strength at all. After one blow, he's at the end of the crossbow. What are you waiting for? Yang Leshui obviously wanted to go with Ling Yinchen. Frightened, he immediately yelled, urging them to act quickly. Hearing what he said, those Xuanyan Pavilion warriors who hadn't stopped and showed their panic just woke up like a dream, swept away their previous timidity and fear, and showed cruel expressions one after another. Yang Kai grinned grinningly, and between flicking his hands, 2 huge moon blades rolled out, crashing into the opposite crowd like 2 pitch-black wheels. The next moment, the screams and exclamations resounded through the sky, and the place where the moon blade passed was simply shattered. No warrior could resist it, and it was cut in half with the slightest touch, leaving the dead body on the spot. There is a way to heaven, you don't go, there is no way to hell, you come and vote. No one wants to leave today. Yang Kai snorted coldly, flicking his hands like flowers. One after another moon blade whizzed away. On the deck on the next day, the martial artists of Xuanyan Pavilion cried for their father and mother in an instant. A group of rubbish with only 1 or 2 levels of Daoyuan and Void King, with Yang Kai's current means, really don't need to be taken seriously. But within 3 breaths, only 5 or 6 of the more than 30 warriors in Xuanyan Pavilion died, and the rest were all lying on the deck, lifeless. Run! I don't know who shouted, and flew towards the sea, completely frightened by Yang Kai's bloody means. How dare to entangle here? Seeing this, the others naturally had no intention of fighting, and fled out one after another. Ling Yinshan's complexion changed, and she shouted, "Pursue in groups of 2 and 2, we must not let them escape." This battle happened so fast that it was almost over before she even realized it, but seeing the few remaining people fleeing one after another, how could she just sit back and watch? Once these people are allowed to escape and the news is sent back to Tongtian Island, then the pavilion master of Xuanyan Pavilion will definitely not let it go. That is a strong Emperor Senior realm, and once he wants to trouble them, no one can resist. Zhao Yi and the others got the order, so naturally they rushed out in pursuit. On the deck, the sea breeze howls, the smell of blood fills the air, making people sick, and the ghost-like scene on the deck is shocking. Yang Leshui was shaking all over, his face was pale, he stared at Yang Kai in horror. 10,000 in his heart couldn't figure out why this kid still had such a strong fighting power after he failed to break through. After 10 breaths of effort in front of him, almost all of them were killed or injured, and in the blink of an eye, he was the only one left alone. R1152. Chapter 2375. How strong is it? Phone reading. Looking at Yang Kai with a cold and resolute expression, Yang Leshui felt cold all over his body, faintly felt that he seemed to have provoked something terrible, and felt regretful. www. Weruo.com. This time he escaped from ascending to heaven, and he couldn't explain this huge loss to the pavilion master, and he would definitely bear the pavilion master's wrath at that time. You said I stabbed you to death with a sword, or stabbed you with a sword? Yang Kai smiled evilly. Yang Leshui trembled all over, and said in horror, you can't kill me. I'm the deputy head of the Xuanyan Pavilion, and I'm Mitn Xingmi's subordinate. If you kill me, he will never let you go. Mission Xing, Yang Kai said coldly, the guy at the first level of Emperor Senior. That's right, Pavilion Master is very good to me. Yang Leshui said quickly, thinking that Yang Kai knew Mitn Xing's name. Unexpectedly, Yang Kai showed a disdainful expression, curled his lips and said, Emperor Senior level 1 is a fart, it's not like I haven't killed him before. When Yang Leshui heard it, his first reaction was that this guy was bragging. Is Emperor Senior realm so easy to kill? Moreover, these words came from a Daoyuan 3rd layer martial artist. No matter how they sound, they are neither fish nor fowl. But he didn't dare to refute, so he could only say, let me go, I can give you a lot of benefits, but if you kill me, you will be unable to move an inch in Tongtian Island. Yang Kai's expression turned cold. How dare you threaten me when I'm about to die? I'm just telling the truth. What's more, it's not easy to kill me with your current ability. Why bother to fight for both sides? Wouldn't it be better for everyone to sit down and have a good talk? Yang Kai sneered, talking about it should also be based on the basis of equality between the two parties. I can kill you with a snap of my fingers. What qualifications do you have to talk to me? Don't underestimate me, a rotten boat has 3-pound nails. You think too highly of yourself. Yang Kai snorted and slashed at him with a million swords in his hand. Yang Leshui was shocked. He didn't expect that he would persuade him so earnestly that the other party would still attack him. He was angry and anxious for a while, and without any hesitation, he directly sacrificed a shield and secret treasure to block in front of him. Stab! There was a crisp sound. Yang Leshui was horrified to find that the secret treasure of his shield had shattered directly, without any protective effect at all, and was disintegrated the moment the opponent slashed it with a sword. The power of the Emperor treasure cut directly into his body, splitting him in two. Is he still human? Yang Leshui couldn't believe it until he died. My own Daoyuan third level realm was wiped out by others. If he had known that there was such a huge disparity in strength between the two, how could he have continued to stay here? Maybe he would have to run away, at least he still had hope of surviving. The deck soon became empty. Apart from the corpses all over the ground, only Yang Kai was left alone, and even Lu Shanyan followed Zhao Yi and the others to hunt down the enemy. Yang Kai stretched out his hand and sucked the space rings of those dead warriors, inspected them a bit, and threw them on the ground in disgust. These warriors should have lived in the secret territory of silence for a long time. There are a lot of messy things in the ring, but there is nothing of real value. With Yang Kai's current wealth, he really can't see it. The shield secret treasure of Yang Leshui was not bad at first, but it was worthless after being split by the million sword. Yang Kai ignored the space rings of these people, but turned his attention to the huge building. This boat was driven by Yang Leshui and others. In Jixu secret territory, this kind of large-scale secret treasure used to go to sea seems to be very common. Yang Kaizi thought that he might need to go to sea in the future, so he flew to the opposite building boat, walked into the cabin, found the control hub, and started refining. After the cup of tea, Ling Yinshan and others returned from different directions one after another. There were not a dozen crew members missing, except for a few people who were injured. Everyone else is largely intact. As soon as everyone got together and informed each other about their situation, Ling Yinshan couldn't help but let out a breath. None of the escaped Xuanyan Pavilion warriors were left, and they were all hunted down to death. There is no need to worry that the news here will spread to Tongtian Island. There are dangers in the lonely void sea, and it is normal for the people on the Yang Leshui boat to disappear. Xuanyan Pavilion may not suspect that Ling Yinshan and the others are killed. Even if they suspect, there is no proof, so she doesn't have to worry about anything. After settling her mind, Ling Yinshan realized it later. There was a sense of panic after walking around the gate of hell. She ordered the crew to clean the deck, push the corpses into the sea, release her divine sense, and found out that Yang Kai was refining the Xuanyan Pavilion's building ship, and did not bother. Instead, he pulled Lu Shanyan aside and asked in a low voice, "Your brother, what's going on?" If there is no Yang Kai on this trip, they will probably not encounter this kind of thing, but the same, if there is no Yang Kai, they will definitely have nothing to gain, and all the gains will be robbed by Yang Leshui. So Ling Yinshan is still very grateful to Yang Kai, but what makes her extremely confused is how Yang Kai can display such terrifying fighting power. Xuanyan Pavilion has more than 30 people in a boat, and he is almost driven to death by him alone. Only Emperor Senior Realm can do such unimaginable things, right? Such a powerful force, if it is not good for oneself and others, who can resist the people on this boat? Ling Yinshan was more and more thankful that Zhao Yi and the others were prevented from their greedy behavior that day, otherwise, she and the others might not even know how they died. Although she asked inexplicably, Lu Shanyan also knew what she meant, pondered for a while and said, "Brother is very human. A few days ago we were chased by a strong third-level emperor, and we escaped to heaven well, Ida's all thanks to the senior brother. Can you survive being chased by Emperor Zun at the third level?" Ling Yinshan was taken aback. She has never been taught how strong the Emperor's third-layer realm is, but she knows that it is absolutely impossible for a third-layer Daoyuan realm to survive after being chased. But Yang Kai did it, which shows that he is not an ordinary Daoyuan third layer. Senior brother is very powerful, he even injured the third-level emperor. Lu Shanyan didn't seem to see Ling Yinshan's shock, and added another sentence. Injury. Ling Yinshan was completely confused, feeling that her brain was not enough, and everything she heard was completely beyond her comprehension. It was a sneak attack, and it seems that the third-layer Emperor Senior was injured. Despite Lu Shanyan's explanation, Ling Yinshan's mind was still buzzing, and she didn't listen at all. She stared blankly at the direction of the opposite building boat, and remained silent for a long time. "Sister, they have a lot of good things. That Yang Leshui actually brought more than 200,000 source crystals with him. We made a trip this time." Zhao Yi walked over with a happy face, holding the space ring, handed it over to Ling Yinshan. Only then did Ling Yinshan come back to her senses, and said, "You all divide the things among yourself, but throw away all the secret treasures and some characteristic things, and you are not allowed to bring them back to Tongtian Island. If the secret treasures and those characteristic things are brought back, something might be exposed, and the people of Xuanyan Pavilion will follow the clues, so Ling Yinshan does not allow this kind of thing to happen." Although Zhao Yi felt a little pity, but also knew that what the elder sister said was right, he immediately turned around and left, ready to share the spoils with his brothers. The deck has been cleaned up, all the corpses have been thrown into the sea, and the blood has been washed thoroughly. It's just that Yang Kai hasn't come out yet. Ling Yinchen can only continue to wait. About a day later, the building boat on the opposite side suddenly buzzed, and the entire ship shook. The next moment, with a flash of light, the huge building boat suddenly disappeared, replaced by Yang Kai appearing in front of everyone. Vision. At this moment, he seemed to be exhausted, his face was a little pale, but he was holding an exquisite building boat that had shrunk countless times in his palm. Obviously it was the one from Xuanyan Pavilion. So fast. Even though Ling Yinchen had already understood Yang Kai's strength, she couldn't help being surprised. It took only one day for Yang Kai to refine the restriction on the building boat. If someone else mentioned this, she would not believe it at all, but the fact was placed in front of her. How strong is this man? Ling Yinchen had already overestimated Yang Kai as much as possible, but found that she still underestimated him. Even if an Emperor Senior Realm came here, it would be impossible to refine that building boat in just one day, right? She thought she would wait here for a month or two. In a daze, Yang Kai had already sent the boat into the space ring, and with a flick of his body, he came to the deck. A dozen crew members looked at him in awe. Zhao Yi opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something, but he couldn't. With the strength Yang Kai showed yesterday, Zhao Yi no longer has the confidence to call Yang Kai brothers. Sorry for causing trouble to everyone. Yang Kai said apologetically. He knew that the reason why people from Xuanyan Pavilion came here and found Ling Yinchen and others was probably attracted by Zhang Ruoxi's promotion. Otherwise, why did this vast sea meet so coincidentally? So the cause of this matter is still in oneself. Hearing what he said, all the crew members waved their hands and shook their heads in unison. Just kidding, the group of people in Xuanyan Pavilion were killed by Yang Kai in the blink of an eye. It can be seen how terrifying Yang Kai's strength is. They dare not take such a polite sentence seriously. Observing his words, Yang Kai knew that these people should be very afraid of him. Brother Yang, we should be the ones thanking you, you saved us from a catastrophe. Ling Yinchen said. To this woman, Yang Kai's impression is very good. She would rather hand over all the gains from this trip before, but also in exchange for the safety of him and Lu Shanyan. Yang Kai saw it, but it was a pity that Yang Leshui too immoral, too greedy, he had to die. Sister Ling is serious, it's still my fault. Yang Kai said awkwardly. He didn't know how to explain the previous incident to Ling Yinchen, and it was not easy to explain, so he could only say something so vague. How is your situation now? Ling Yinchen asked with a frown. Yang Kai failed in the previous breakthrough, cut off his cultivation base, fought another battle, and spent energy refining the building ship. In her opinion, this is simply a you are looking for death, you should take a break. To be continued. Chapter 2376 Tongtian Island. Phone reading. Sister Ling, I have to apologize to you. Chi.me, Yang Kai scratched his head, and took out the formation flag base of the high-level purification spirit formation with some embarrassment. I got this thing broken. Ling Yinchen took a look and found that her spirit array was so badly damaged that it was impossible to use it anymore. A gloomy look flashed across her beautiful eyes, a little reminiscing and a little regretful. It's broken, it's broken. Ling Yinchen forced a laugh, and said in relief, it's just a set of high-level spiritual purification array, don't worry about it. Yang Kai said, how much source crystal is this thing worth? I'll supply it to you. Ling Yinchen waved her hand, no need, it's a pity that it can't help you. While speaking, she took out 2 wooden cards and handed them to Yang Kai. What is this? Yang Kai asked suspiciously. This is the identity plate of Tongtian Island. This is also required to enter Tongtian City. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to take it. He realized all of a sudden, raised his eyebrows and said, this is from those people in Xuanyan Pavilion. Is there any problem with using this to enter the city? No problem, these 2 are just low-level identity plates, without recording any information. If the high-level identity plates are different, others cannot pretend to be them. Ling Yinchen explained. Thank you very much. Yang Kai was extremely happy. He was still a little worried about how he and Lu Shanyan would sneak into Tongtian City safely, but he didn't want these people from Xuanyan Pavilion to send the identity plate on their own initiative. This is really a gift charcoal. I'm a little tired, I'm going back to rest first. Brother Yang, you can do what you want. After Ling Yinchen said something, she turned and walked towards the cabin. Lu Shanyan leaned over and whispered to Yang Kai, "Senior brother, that set of high-level spiritual purification array is a relic left by Ling Daji's partner, and it has a very important meaning to her." She also heard this information from Zhao Yi, but seeing the change in Ling Yinshan's expression just now, she also knew that what Zhao Yi said was true. Missing. Only then did Yang Kai realize how valuable he had damaged. Hastily said loudly, "Miss Ling, I will definitely find someone to repair your spiritual purification array for you." The spirit formation was only damaged, not destroyed. Yang Kai originally wanted to compensate Ling Yinshan with some source crystals. Or wait until Tongtian Island to buy the same set and return it to her, but now that I know the significance of the jingling formation to Ling Yinshan, it seems inappropriate to compensate or buy a set and return it to her. The best way is to find someone to repair the base of the array flag. Hearing this, Ling Yinshan paused slightly. But he didn't look back, he just waved his hands lightly, his back looked extremely bleak, and he gradually drifted away. "Senior brother Yang, why don't you two go to rest too?" Zhao Yi walked over with a flattering smile. His attitude was no longer as casual as before, but he was a little cautious. "The horse is sailing, and it will take less than a month. But go back to Tongtian Island, Lao Zhao will call you when you get there." "Okay, brother Zhao." Yang Kai nodded and walked towards the wing room together with Lu Shanyan. After a while, the boat sailed again. In the wing room, Lu Shanyan wanted to ask Yang Kai's current situation several times, but he swallowed the words again. Yang Kai's previous failure to break through the Emperor Senior should have dealt a big blow to him, and Lu Shanyan felt that if he asked again, it would definitely make him even more sad. She didn't know how to comfort Yang Kai, and she sighed extremely, feeling that God was really unfair. It made Yang Kai realize the opportunity of breakthrough in this ghost place. The speed of the boat was not slow, and occasionally encountered some sea beast attacks on the way, and the warriors on the boat could handle it properly, which could be seen. Regardless of their level of cultivation, the group of Ling Yinshan's subordinates are all extremely seasoned fighters, and they have strong experience in how to resist sea beasts. All the way through without any danger. About 20 days later, Yang Kai suddenly heard a commotion on the deck. He listened to the past, and learned through the joyful conversations of the crew that he was about to reach Tongtian Island. A warrior from Tongtian Island. Because it is necessary to search for cultivation resources in the sea, every trip to the sea is accompanied by great risks. Often a dozen or 20 go out, but less than half of them come back. But this time Ling Yinshan's boat was very different. How many people went out, how many people came back, one fell. Not only that, but also gained a lot. The crew members were naturally extremely happy. Sure enough, after a while, the speed of the Lu Chuan slowed down, and soon, the Lu Chuan stopped completely. A burst of noisy voices came from the side of the ear, and Yang Kai's spiritual sense was released, and he found that the boat had reached the edge of a huge island and was moored at a place similar to a pier. Before Ling Yinshan and the others arrived, there were already several high-rise ships waiting to dock, and from time to time warriors flew out of those high-rise ships and landed on the ground. As soon as these warriors landed, many people gathered around them, as if every warrior who returned from the sea was a sweet potato. Yang Kai saw a martial artist returning from the sea communicate with another person via sound transmission, and then quickly left with that person. "Senior brother Yang, Tongtian Island is here." Ling Yinshan's voice came from outside the door. Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan looked at each other and stood up quickly. When they came to the deck, Zhao Yi and the others were already waiting impatiently. After seeing Yang Kai, these people nodded at him in awe. "Are these people selling Hai's harvest?" Yang Kai walked to Zhao Yi's side, pointed at the warriors who were talking, and asked. Zhao Yi nodded and said, "That's right. Basically, going to sea will more or less yield something. There are people waiting at the pier all the time. When they see those returning from the sea, they will take the initiative to buy them. If the price is negotiated, it will be a good deal if they sell it. Save yourself and go to the city to find buyers. Many shops in the city are guarded here. Every time they come back they surround like madmen. The competition is fierce." Hearing Zhao Yi's explanation, Yang Kai knew that his guess was right. He felt so when he saw this scene before. "Let's go," Zhao Yi greeted, and many crew members used their movements to fly towards the shore. Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan followed closely behind, but Ling Yinshan stayed behind, making seals with both hands, ready to put away the building boat. As soon as the sailors were on the shore, many merchants came to welcome them, surrounded them, and offered good prices to buy what they had gained during this trip. Zhao Yi and the others are undoubtedly very familiar with this way. each of them pretending to be sophisticated, posing with their feet, whispering to those merchants, and after a while, someone negotiated the price and walked aside to prepare for the transaction. This trip to the sea, Zhao Yi and others gained a lot, not to mention the more than 100,000 blue-feathered corals and the corpse of a 12th order monster, but the spoils collected after Yang Kai killed those people in Xuanyan Pavilion, they usually get many times more. The harvest is too big to be completed in one go, so the dozen or so crew members acted separately, preparing to convert part of the proceeds into useful training materials for themselves, such as source crystals and spirit pills, and the rest of the harvest, etc. I will find a chance to sell it later, otherwise if I take out so many good things at once, I will definitely get burned. The source crystal is a hard currency no matter in the outside world or in this secret place of solitude. And there is another thing that is popular here, that is panacea, but any panacea that is slightly useful can be converted into the corresponding source crystal and used as a bargaining chip. When Yang Kai was looking at Shi, a young beautiful woman suddenly appeared in front of him. This year the beautiful woman was wearing a green long dress, her figure was enchanting and plump, her chest was bulging, and the clothes that stretched so much that it was almost torn apart, was extremely eye-catching. The cultivation base is not low, and it looks like the second level of Daoyuan. However, although she looks enchanting, her demeanor is extremely dignified and beautiful. I don't know if she moved a little slower or disdained to compete with other people, so she failed to connect with the crew who returned from the sea. Seeing Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan standing, no one cares here, so she took the initiative to lean over. She pursed her lips and smiled, cupped her fists and said, "This little brother invited you. Is there something wrong with ma'am?" Yang Kai took a look at her. The beautiful woman smiled and said, "I am the dianfeng of Bingxin Pavilion." Bingxin Pavilion. Yang Kai raised his brows, and couldn't help taking a closer look at this beautiful woman named Fan Xin. Fangxin asked suspiciously, "What? Little brother doesn't know about my Bingxin Pavilion?" She finds it very strange. Although Bingxin Pavilion is not big in Tongtian Island, it is definitely well known. As long as people live in Tongtian Island, it is impossible not to know about Bingxin Pavilion. But seeing Yang Kai's reaction just now, he seemed very surprised, as if he heard the word Bingxin Pavilion for the first time. Yang Kai calmly said, "Of course I've heard of the name of Bingxin Pavilion, but I didn't expect Bingxin Pavilion to buy things here." This is of course nonsense. It is indeed the first time he has heard of Bingxin Pavilion, but Yang Kai also knows that his performance just now has aroused the suspicion of the beautiful woman, and these words can undoubtedly dispel the doubts of the other party. Sure enough, the beautiful woman smiled wryly after hearing the words, "Business is not easy, there is competition everywhere, and I am forced to do nothing." She changed the subject, and said straight to the point, "I don't know if my brother has gained anything from this trip to sea. If there is any, can you take it out and have a look? I will definitely give you a satisfactory price. Their goods are here with me, come to me if you need to discuss anything." Ling Yinshan walked over from not far away step by step, and finally relieved Yang Kai. He didn't have any goods in his hand. If he knew the situation at the pier was like this, he would definitely leave something in the space ring after killing those people in Xuanyan Pavilion. Hearing this, Fan Xin looked at Yang Kai puzzled, wondering why he put the goods in Ling Yinshan player. After all, the dozen or so people who got off the boat just now, all of them brought something. Yang Kai spread his hands and said with a smile, "I'm a bit forgetful when I see a beautiful woman. The eldest sister is afraid that I will suffer, so she has full power to act as an agent. Now it seems that it is a wise move." Fan Xin covered her mouth and smiled, "Brother is really interesting." To be continued. Chapter 2377 Lawlessness. Phone reading. The Fangxin from Bingxin Pavilion soon got together with Ling Yinshan, and they were secretly communicating with each other through sound transmission. A first post on Qi, Maya. After a while, Ling Yinshan looked up at Yang Kai and said, "This Fan Shimay's bid is very suitable, I'm going to sell it, what do you say?" When she asked this question, it was obviously just to show Fangxin. Moreover, her cultivation level is a little higher than Fangxin, so it doesn't matter if she is called junior sister. Fan Xin immediately looked towards Yang Kai with a look of expectation. She has been here for a long time today, but she has not gained anything at all. At this moment, she finally sees a glimmer of light. As long as Yang Kai nods, she can receive a lot of things. Naturally I look forward to it. Yang Kai smiled and said, "Then sell it." Fan Xin immediately smiled, "Thank you, senior sister and brother, don't worry, our business in Bingxin Pavilion has always been innocent, and we will never suppress the price." Ling Yinshan said lightly, I've heard of the name of Bingxin Pavilion, otherwise I wouldn't have sold it to you. During the conversation, the two moved quickly, and Yang Kai quietly took a look, and found that Fengxin gave Ling Yinshan not only some source crystals but also some panacea. After receiving the goods, Fengxin looked extremely happy, and her attitude became more and more enthusiastic. Brother, if you have anything to sell in the future, don't forget about my concubine, the price is negotiable. Yang Kai nodded and said, no problem. Let's go. Ling Yinshan greeted and led Yang Kai and Lu Shanyan to the front. After walking out of the noisy pier, the three stopped and stood there waiting for the arrival of others. After about an incense stick of time, all the dozen or so crew members came back, and all of them were beaming with joy, obviously gaining a lot. And what they sold just now was only a very small part of the harvest from this trip to the sea, and there were more that they didn't bring out. The 100,000 blue-feathered corals are too large to be sold in batches, which is obviously not suitable for trading at the pier. Ling Yinshan was going to make plans after returning to Tongtian City. The gains from going to sea this time alone are enough for them to not worry about food and drink in the next 3 years, and they can also change to a better place to live. Not long after walking, a huge city appeared in front of him. The gate of the city is also huge, like an open mouth of an animal, picking and devouring people. On the top of the gate, these 3 big characters Tongtiancheng are engraved. At the city gate, guarded by warriors, passers-by have to pay a low-grade source crystal or something of corresponding value to be allowed to pass no matter they enter or exit. Seeing this, Yang Kai frowned. The source crystal is very precious in this silent and mysterious territory. He thought that as long as he has an identity plate, he can enter and leave here at will, but he doesn't want to still have to pay the source crystal. This piece of low-grade source crystal is nothing to him, but for those poor warriors who have lived here for a long time, it is nothing less than a fortune. There were not many people in front of the city gate, except for the warriors who came back from the pier earlier and were queuing up to enter the city. Not a single person left the city, and it could be seen that the warriors in Tongtian City were not willing to spend that piece of source crystal to go in and out at will, only when they needed to go to sea or had to go out of the city. Ling Yinshan and his party of more than a dozen people entered the city easily after paying more than a dozen yuan of source crystals and verifying everyone's ID plate. Yang Kai was still a little worried about whether his newcomer's identity would be exposed. It can be seen that the matter is so simple, he knew that he was thinking too much. Entering the city, it was actually a lively scene. There are actually a lot of warriors in the city, and there are many shops on both sides of the street, and the warriors who are looking forward to it are crowded shoulder to shoulder, in an endless stream. But he soon discovered something different. It was on both sides of the street, many warriors were sitting cross-legged, staring blankly ahead with blank expressions. There are quite a few of these warriors, regardless of their cultivation level, their aura is extremely weak. As if they hadn't practiced for a long time, they just sat there without moving. Not only that, but there are many people dressed as beggars in this street, begging and bowing to the surroundings, but they rarely get anything. Yang Kai frowned. He didn't expect Tongtian City, which seemed to be prosperous, to be so desolate inside. These are also poor people. Ling Yinshan sighed. They have no cultivation resources, their cultivation level is declining day by day, and they are not able to go to sea to find things. Apart from begging, they can only wait to die. Hearing what she said, Yang Kai understood why this street was in such a scene, and he saw this just when he entered the city. God knows how many people are waiting to die like this in Tongtian City. Is there really no way to leave here? Yang Kai asked. Ling Yinshan shook her head. I've never heard of anyone successfully leaving here. The two were talking, when suddenly there was an angry shout not far away, "You little thief, dare to steal my things." There was a sound of drinking, followed by a commotion in the crowd not far away, and occasional sounds of hands. Yang Kai's spiritual sense was released, and he immediately found out what happened there. It seems that a warrior was robbed. The warrior who was robbed had a first-level Daoyuan cultivation, while the person who robbed him was only a second-level Void King. Not only was his cultivation much weaker, but his aura was also extremely weak. Maybe even the power of the first level of the Void King can't be exerted. This kind of death-seeking behavior is absolutely impossible to happen outside, but it seems normal in Tongtian City. There were 2 bumping sounds, and the robber was shot dead on the spot, and regained his space ring. The Daoyuan first-level martial artist was about to speak harshly, when suddenly countless people with blank expressions rushed over from both sides of the street. These guys originally, their eyes were empty, but now they were red. Everyone was staring at the warrior's space ring, fighting constantly. Even if the owner of the space ring is at the first level of Daoyuan, it is hard to beat with 2 fists and 4 hands. Although several people were killed with force, no one flinched, and was soon overwhelmed by the crowd. Swipe. When these people were fighting in dire straits, 2 figures suddenly descended from the sky. The 2 men were full of aura, wearing black strong suits, and staring at the fight in front of them with sneering and cold expressions, but they had no intention of stopping them. This is someone from Tongtian City Law Enforcement Team. Zhao Yi explained softly beside Yang Kai. They don't care, Yang Kai asked in surprise, thinking that since it is a law enforcement team, it is natural to maintain the peace of the city. Why do they remain indifferent when the fight happens in front of them? Zhao Yi sneered, you can tell by looking at it. After bumping into each other, 2 more robbers were knocked out by the owner of the ring, but this person seemed to be a little exhausted. Although his condition is better than those who are waiting to die in beggars, after coming to Tongtian Island, he can repair. The reason is also that the decline has been severe, and he can't exert the strength of Dao Yuanjing at all. At this moment, he is already scarred and exhausted. When he looked up, he happened to see the 2 law enforcement officers in black robes, and he shouted, "My lords, help me, these people are lawless, and they robbed in broad daylight. Please, my lords, uphold justice." The 2 law enforcers didn't move when they heard the words, they just watched with cold eyes. The owner of the ring shouted again, "My lords, please take action, and I would like to give half of the contents of the space ring as a reward." One of the law enforcement officers heard this and sneered, "It's only half." The owner of the ring gritted his teeth, and said with a bitter face, "It's all for the 2 adults." He knew that if he could not be rescued again, he was afraid that he would be killed by these lawless people. Compared with his own life, what else was it? The 2 law enforcement officers lazily walked forward, and the person who had spoken earlier snorted, "Since you are so sensible, let us help you." When the words fell, the 2 of them joined hands, greeted fiercely, and in the surge of energy, they directly blasted the robbers out. There were no casualties in midair, and the air was instantly filled with a strong smell of blood. As soon as the 2 of them made a move, the warriors around fell silent for an instant, and the robbers who survived by chance immediately dispersed, not daring to stay here any longer. Only the robbed martial artist was left on the ground, lying there covered in blood, looking extremely embarrassed. The law enforcer walked over, stretched out his hand, and sucked his space ring into his palm. After searching with his spiritual sense, he frowned and said in disdain, "Poor. There is only such a thing." After finishing speaking, he spat at the warrior in distaste, and walked away swaggeringly. This person can only wait to die in the future. Zhao Yi sighed. This warrior who was robbed probably didn't have much property, but now he even lost his space ring. Unless he can find the fleet as soon as possible and go to sea with him, he will definitely be reduced to the same as the robbers, sitting here waiting to die. It's so chaotic here. Yang Kai's expression sank. Ling Yinshan said, "Under the end of the road, they can do anything, and these people are also driven into a hurry." Yang Kai was silent, knowing what Ling Yinshan said made sense. Those robbers were waiting to die. What else in the world could scare them? But what makes Yang Kai a little unbelievable is that the law enforcement officers of Tongtian City are so dirty. The scene just now sounds like Ida's worse, and Ida's a robbery if Ida's ugly. From this point of view, Tongtian City is a place where there is no kingly law at all, and it is difficult for Ling Yinshan and others to live here for so long. This is the outer city, which is relatively chaotic. The inner city is safer, and these things will not happen. Ling Yinshan explained. Then do you live in the outer city or the inner city? Yang Kai asked. Zhao Yi replied, the outer city, but we can move to the inner city in a few days. They gained a lot this time, enough to rent a good cave in the inner city. Although the consumption in the inner city is generally more expensive, it is better to be safe, so some efforts are still valuable. Ling Yinshan said, Senior brother Yang, you've just arrived, it's best to rent a cave to live in, and gradually get familiar with it. I also have this plan. Yang Kai nodded, he didn't know how long he would stay in Tongtian Island, he must have a place to settle down. To be continued.